Welcome to Armchair Expert, Experts on Expert. I'm Dan Shepard, and I'm joined by Lily Padman.
Hi.
Hi, nice stripes.
Thank you. I'm in stripes today.
You look like a convict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going for that look.
That's a new look. They said 2025 is convict.
That's right.
Convict's a new black. Returning guest today.
Yeah.
But in person this time.
Yes, we had him during our COVID era.
That's happening a lot now. We're starting to get folks that we had done during COVID. And I got to say, if it feels in person like it's the first time we interviewed them.
Definitely. I mean, I feel bad saying this, but that time feels lost. Like, it almost feels like those episodes don't count.
Well, I think we had a lot of great, I know we had a lot of great episodes.
We did.
Eric Lander, that's a phenomenal episode, but it didn't embed itself in my memory. None of the ones that were over Zoom embedded.
Yeah, same.
It's like I don't really remember the people.
I know. So we just got to have them all
We got to have
back.
them all back.
Yeah.
Talking to you, Barry.
Yeah. I don't know if that was even COVID. He just didn't want to come.
Well, right. Let's be honest. He did not want to come. Especially when he found out Kristen wasn't here. But anyways, Reid Hoffman's here.
Yes.
And to remind people, Reid Hoffman is a software entrepreneur and an author. He is the co-founder of LinkedIn, also a leading voice in AI. He's one of, if you listen to our favorite podcast,
Acquired.
he's all over it. He was one of the first meta people. He was the first, he's
a huge investor in massive companies.
Yeah. He's got a damn good eye for what's going to actually work and be desirable by people. He has several books: Masters of Scale, Blitz Scaling, The Alliance, The Startup of You. His new book, which is out on the 28th, is Super Agency: What Could Possibly Go Right with Our AI Future? And he wrote that with Greg Beto. So I want to give a shout out to Greg. This was really, really fun. And it led me to design a van that I'm in love with AI.
That's really cool.
Anyways, love Reid Hoffman. This was really, really fun. Please enjoy Reid Hoffman. We are supported by Allstate. They've partnered with us to be the presenting sponsor of this episode, and you could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. You're in good hands with Allstate. Keep watching to hear more about Allstate during the fact check.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Yeah, my first curiosity, Reid, is, and this is a sincere question, what's the longest you are anywhere? Because my kind of, what I've been able to observe from a distance is you seem to be somewhere else every 3 days.
It tends to be the stay and then move, stay.
Is home Silicon Valley?
No, home is Washington State.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, it's just outside of Seattle.
And you're on a lot of boards. Do you have to be in person at those meetings, or are those now kind of Zoomy?
So it used to be all in person.
Yeah.
Right. And now with the kind of one of the benefits of the kind of post, pandemic Zoom thing is you're like, well, frequently in person.
Right.
But like, hey, I happen to be in Rome this time.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of not convenient for me to come back. I'll Zoom. And so, it's kind of a mixture, but with more in person.
Okay, so you've written another book.
Yes.
You're in so many different things. You're a very active investor. You're on the board of all these companies. What's the inspiration to write a book?
It doesn't make sense, I don't think, almost anymore, for anyone to only write a book. Right. So, but it still does make sense to write books.
Okay.
And the reason why you write a book is because you want to think through something deeply. You want to, as the process of you writing it, you're thinking about it, you're circulating it to your friends and critics and getting them to challenge you, and you're thinking about why it is I hold this particular view very deeply.
Yeah.
And then let me elaborate it in terms of the detail of the argument. And some people, small number of people, really like reading books.
Yeah.
So like, okay, if you're going to go write the book to think through it, then also produce it and kind of have it available.
Yeah, why not?
Like, one of my fun book blurbs on the Super Agency book is Yuval Harari, who's basically like, great, compelling future of AI and humanity. I disagree with some of the main arguments, but you should read it, and I hope he's right, and decide for yourself. And it's like, that's why you do a book. So that people who are like wrestling with what is truth here can engage with you in some depth. But what you should really do is podcasts and social media and a bunch of other things, because that's where millions of people are actually going to engage with what you're doing. So you shouldn't just do a book. If I had to do one, I'd do this, not the book. But the book is the thinking to get ready for all the conversations.
Dialogue.
Yeah, it's like an elongated pressure test of it, I guess. You're right. And when you're hearing your own argument in print, you somehow can have some objectivity about your argument. That makes total sense in your head, but once you're reading, you're like, that's a little weak.
Change that. Yeah, that doesn't work.
It's funny you bring up Yuval, because one of my only pushback questions is something when he was here he brought up, which I found to be very compelling.
I love Yuval. And actually, one of the things that we discovered in arguing about it is frequently in arguments with critics, I'll find that I disagree with the question or I disagree with the kind of the variable. Yuval and I see the elements of the world in very similar ways. We just have different assignments to variables.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why he's like, look, I fear that I'm right and I hope that you're right, is basically where Yuval on the variable. And it's like, okay, let me tell you why I think we should be motivated by hope, not fear.
Yeah. So maybe let's start with, because the book starts with Socrates musing on the failings of writing.
Yeah.
So tell us about what Socrates thought of writing.
So, and by the way, some scholars disagree with this particular interpretation because scholars have all kinds of different interpretations.
Yeah.
But I think it's a reasonable interpretation. So Socrates in Phaedrus was, I mistrust the written word versus the spoken word. And I mistrust it because when I'm here, when we're speaking words together, I can hear how you're hearing my words and I can adjust it and I can be dynamically interactive with you.
I can challenge, I can question.
Yes. And so it's the dialectic process of this discourse in the spoken word is more true, more close to reality, more a shared learning experience than what might happen with a written word, which could be who knows where it goes, and it could be abused, and it could be misrepresented, and it could be misunderstood, and so forth.
Mainly that. I feel like in person you can read intention.
Yes.
In words you can't. This happens a lot when we're texting. I'm like, we gotta just to get on the phone. Because I think we are not on the same page.
That was a very short sentence. I feel like you're mad.
Yeah.
Phone now.
Exactly.
The first recording of technology is the written word. And so it's like, okay, we're recording this. And it's like, oh, there were even challenges then. And then through all major technological innovations. And that's why, the opening with the Socrates and Phaedrus. But of course, the written word is essential. We do not have anything of the modern world without the written word.
Right.
And that doesn't say that Socrates' concerns are even invalid today. All that texting.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was going to add something he couldn't have anticipated, which is there's something that gives validity to a concept or an idea, simply the fact that it made it to print and made it to your newspaper. There's some other magic trick where you kind of overinflate the information you're reading because it has gone through, you think, some steps.
Yes.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have even predicted that.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's largely what happened on the internet is like people are reading things and it's in the shape of a New York Times article and it has a headline and you're like, hey, this is news. This is substantial.
A gatekeeper came through here, but not always.
Yeah, this is quality information because it looks like the information I associate with quality.
Oh, and by the way, the mistake that most people make, which we are now even going to have to harder steer against is, well, it's quality because I naturally agree with it. It has confirmation bias.
Yeah.
And you're like, no.
It intuitively feels correct.
Yeah, it feels like it's right to me. So it's what the people in my community are telling me, et cetera. Every generation of new technology, you have to have let's think about why it is I have that basis. What's the challenge of it? What is true on this? And realize that my reflexive belief is not truth.
My first question when I like an opinion should be, do I benefit from this worldview at all? Mm-hmm. That's an interesting place to start. I think even if we could admit to ourselves, like, yeah, I have this opinion, that sounds logical and sound, but hold on a second. Would I somehow benefit if that were true?
Yes.
And generally, almost all my opinions, yes, in some way or another, I would benefit from them.
You're living your life in a way out of what you believe. And so therefore, like if you suddenly go, actually, in fact, there's this thing I believe, well, how do I now lead my life so that I'm benefiting from the world that I believe to be true?
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a challenge of the validity of your belief.
Yeah.
But you should ask the question and you should adjust.
Yeah. I guess my conclusion was I should most trust the opinions I have that I actually don't benefit whatsoever from.
Actually, not necessarily true. So for example, you go, okay, So, Reid, are you writing Super Agency because you're investing in these AI technologies that you're going to make money from the companies and all the rest of the stuff as? And it's
I
like,
phrase it as you're on the board of Microsoft, lead investment round for OpenAI, and you own an AI product, Pi. Why would anyone trust you to be critical of AI?
as an example. And look, the answer is I put all of my energy and effort to the things I believe, right? So like if I said, oh, I actually don't believe in this, I believe in producing new plays, then I would go do the producing new plays. I think the asking the question of, well, where is your self-interests is an important one. But if you said, oh, well, you shouldn't do business where you think the right thing for humanity is, well, that's silly, because business is one of the great creators of the middle class and all the prosperity that we have and so forth. So you actually should align them. What you should do is not do businesses that you think are bad. You go, oh, I think the cigarette business is unhealthy for society. I don't do anything with the cigarette business. I invest in the businesses that I think are good for humanity.
Yeah, pro-social.
Yes, and by the way, that then is an amplifier. Like, for example, hey, podcasting and being in dialogue, that's good. You can invest in the microphone business. You can invest in the camera business. That's fine.
Yeah.
Right? That's, oh, you shouldn't then talk about microphones because you invested in the microphone business. Well,
That's insane. Yeah. That's true. That's true.
Right.
I guess I was more thinking like I've not advocated for many things in my life, but one happened to be gay marriage a long time ago. Well, I certainly don't benefit from that. I don't have like a gay best friend that was urging me to get involved, who I would then win the love and approval of. Like it was just kind of, okay, I kind of trust that opinion because I don't really benefit from it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about like taxes. I'm like, I'm happy to give a lot of money away. I should probably want to save or keep it, hoard it, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do think it's telling that this is actually sort of against my own benefit, but I believe it as a value that it's important for society.
Well, usually it's complicated because the reason you're willing to do that, of course, is because you benefit from this great society that we live in.
Exactly,
with
that's
kind of
true.
the rule of law and all the rest. So it's what you perceive to be actually your benefit.
Yeah, you're right.
That we collectively do. And by the way, do you think that the right society is one that allows people to be people, and actually, in fact, sexual orientation is just people. Or these other, like for example, someone who has a religious point of view that's really negative on that goes, no, that's because that's in your interest.
Right.
So I actually think the right way to approach interest is to be clear about, like, here's why I believe my interests are right, and my interests align with a good future of humanity.
You're right. Gay marriage is like a single issue within a larger just society I want to be a part of.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm arguing for things that may fit my ideology, may fit my economic thing. But by the way, the idea is to be truthful and in discussion about it and transparent about it and in dialogue about it. And that's why I go to do super agencies. Like, look, I actually view this to be good for humanity.
Yeah. So there's a lot of they're imperfect, but they're damn near perfect parallels throughout history for this current AI revolution. So I think we should go through a couple of them. We could start with the printing press. What were people's thoughts, fears, concerns? How does it parallel AI?
So here's what's stunning, which most people won't realize, because I think printing press, of course it's great. I mean, here we have all these books. Of course, like, it's how we create a middle class, and how we can't have science without the printing press. You have to be able to print and disseminate information in scientific journals in order to have science. And all of our modern life is based on scientific advancement, right? It's super critical. And yet, the discourse around when the printing press was created was, this is the destruction of human society. It's the destruction of knowledge. It's the destruction of human capabilities like memory and that kind of thing. And so it's like a lot of the discourse we're having right now around AI was the discourse around the printing press. And there's both kind of good news and the challenging news around this. The good news is, of course, we get to the other side of the printing press and modern society is enabled. The challenge is we had nearly a century of war because of it, because all this religious war, because like, well, who can distribute God's word in printed form?
Martin Luther said, we have a text, you don't need a bishop and you don't need all these people. All you need is this book. And so the Roman Catholic Church, which was the hegemonic power of the day, was like, this is the end of us.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we as human beings adjust very badly to new technological, and we create a lot of problems in doing that. And that's true of every major technological revolution.
Yeah.
So part of the reason why I said, look, we've encountered this before, we're encountering it now again. I'm trying to get us to think positively and creatively about how to navigate these otherwise very difficult transitions. And by the way, the transitions are always going to be painful. I'm not saying it's pain-free, it's easy, kick back, sip your margarita. It's all going to be fine.
That sounds nice, though.
But that's not, like, the transition will be difficult. There will be lots of challenges, and I don't want to have to learn this new tool, and I don't want to have to adjust this new world that the new tool creates. And by the way, this will change political power and change economic power and change the power and the position I'm in, and it will change my job. And, like, yes, there's going to be a bunch of that, right?
Yeah.
And that's not easy. And say, well, who are you to make that happen?
Yeah, you clearly already are the beneficiary of this thing. You're on the other side of this.
Well, because you're making it and it benefits you. So who are you? And it's like, well, by the way, this is classically how human societies work and make progress is that, well, we have freedom to make new technologies and we have freedom to make new businesses. And by the way we offer them is we offer them to people as consumers, and they have the freedom to adopt them, right? And that's the normal process stuff. And that's, of course, where the AI revolution is happening as it begins. That's a whole set of freedoms that enable that.
So what was the historical context from which the superloom arose? Like what percentage of the world was, occupied with the production of textiles and stuff? How significant of an industry was it for people?
There was a huge weaver industry, right? Especially in England, right? But everywhere. And it was like people were like, oh, it's the kind of the original small business.
What will the orphans do that we have in these loom factories from the
that
Dickens
we're not
novels?
paying or doing anything.
And so, and this is where the term Luddite comes from, because Ludd was like, no, this is the destruction of our way of life. This is the destruction of our industry. We need to bomb the power looms. We need to kill the factory owners. We need to because this is going to change everything. And it did, of course, because there's now home weaving is a hobby. Right. There's some Etsy and there's some other things, and there's still some business and reasons, but the production of all the clothing that we are all wearing here, none of this is the home weaving. But without embracing that power loom, without embracing that part of the Industrial Revolution, we don't have a middle class. We don't have clothing that everyone can wear, and we can't clothe the world. You can't do that without doing that. And new industries are created. And he said, okay, that industry massively transformed. It was suffering and pain for the people in that industry. No lie. Part of the reason why there was a rebellion around it. If the Luddites had won, England would have never had an empire. England never would have technologically progressed. It would have been other places that did that. And so their children, their grandchildren, only had a future by embracing the power loom.
Well, it's hard at that moment to predict that, okay, at this point, only 2% of the population is buying a new garment a year because the price is so expensive because it is hand done.
Yes.
They're not forecasting, well, yeah, those jobs go away, but now all of a sudden everyone's buying clothes. There'll be clothing shops. There'll be all these different things. It could, in fact, explode exponentially versus this little pocket we're trying to protect.
Yes.
What did the telegram do?
And all of a sudden, telegram now means that information can now transit at super fast speeds, that it's not controlled through the people who control either the printing press or the messages by which the printed messages get there, whether it's government, security, or other kinds of things. So we are the current channel distributors of information. And so the people who are doing it now have a change of who has power for the immediate information.
Yeah.
So, this is bad. This is a destruction of society. You can't cross-check it. You can't look at it. The current institutions of knowledge and truth should be the ones who are doing it. And so, again, resistance.
Yeah.
Right. And every new technological thing, of course, especially around information, but not only information, causes that, no, we should stay with where we are, not go to the new one. And by the way, you can always identify all the problems of the new one, especially at the very beginning, because by the way, we haven't remodified it. We haven't done iterative deployment and changed it to go, here is how we get most of the benefits, the vast majority of the benefits, and here's how we squash some of the bad things.
Right. Seatbelt, safety glass.
Exactly.
Airbags.
Yes.
We were just talking about that with Little Women.
Oh, yeah. I just watched Little Women a couple days ago.
Yeah, and at the end they're showing like the making of that book and how insane the process was to make a book.
Hand stitching the binding.
Yes.
I was like, oh wow, we think there's wealth disparity now, but back then, to read a book, you had to be so rich you could get your hands on that one copy that took that long to make. Everything's a little bit more democratized with these advancements in technology. You just don't, it's in hindsight that you look back and you're like, oh, that was good.
Yes.
But throughout, it's tough.
The transitions are always tough. And I'm not trying to tell people the transition's not tough.
We'll get to
I
the negative
appreciate
shit.
that.
We're just kind of going through the history first.
Yeah.
The one in the book that I had never stopped to think about, obviously I grew up in the era of it, is the telephone. Yeah. Because we're pointing out different things. There's a lot of concerns with AI. One is jobs, right? One is how's it going to mold culture? What's it going to do to information? All these kind of things. But of course, there's a lot of kind of more societal, interpersonal things. And I didn't realize that when the phone debuted, people thought it was going to destroy civil society because you would no longer go to someone's house to visit them.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
That it would completely get rid of any kind of interpersonal, in-person, which is kind of the same thing we're yelling about right now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea that there was an uproar about that.
Yes. Exactly. No, and look, again, we forget it because we go, oh, it's so natural. And of course, with the telephone, it's like, no, it's great because rather than I'm not going to go by your house to visit you because I don't know if you're there, I can go say, hey, are you there? Hey, can I come by? Great. And all of a sudden, increase social connectivity.
Right. The opposite outcome as they feared. All right. The camera, the radio, the automobile, they all
a small list of technologies that have completely changed our lives.
Yeah.
How is AI different than those? Like, what are the ones you can admit to? Because I guess right out of the gates, none of those technologies has the potential to be fully autonomous, out of our power, out of our control, savvier than us. Mm-hmm. I do want to say there are some major differences between the previous technologies and the current one.
100%. And by the way, in each time, and I'm not saying that to be dismissive of that, in each time there were new differences. It's not like the new technology was exactly like the old ones. Right. So there's always new things. Oh, it's much faster. It's being adopted much faster. That's a classic one, each one. And then this one's much faster too. And that doesn't mean much faster is always okay. But by the way, each time it was, it's being adopted much faster. Oh, and it worked out. Right. Now, maybe that's until it doesn't. So the speed is one thing, because now that we all have smartphones, like I will launch a new AI technology and literally it could be that tomorrow, 1 billion people are engaged with it. Now, the other parts of it are, so one, speed. Two is cognitive, right? So it's even though some of them, like the printing press and other things, had cognitive involved, like participations, change the way that we function, communicate, trust information, share information.
I got to add, Martin Luther did succeed in raising literacy rates from like 3% to 95%. And in the process of learning to read, that cognitive ability did displace some of our other abilities.
Yes.
It did permanently change the structure of our brain, interestingly.
1,000%. By the way, for good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, as part of back to why'd you write a book, is because actually writing a book is a way of thinking. And it changes our patterns of how we think. Because, the way we think now is perfectly. We don't need to think better. And you're like, yes, we do. How do we get to the new ways of thinking?
I think it's terrible. I don't know how everyone else is feeling about their thinking. But
your thinking seems fine.
No, I have to shoot down 4 bad ideas before I ever get to a good idea.
But that's good.
It is good. Yeah.
That's part of the process. It's part of the process. Part of this thing is technologies, first we reject them, then we integrate them in terms of how we're being human. By the way, so the ways, back to the question of new, is one is speed. Another one is it's a depth of cognitive that we've literally is a completely different new from anything we've done before.
Yeah.
Already AI writes better than the vast majority of human beings.
Absolutely.
Right. And so it's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Makes music better than I can, does a lot of things better than I can do.
So you're like, already, by itself, it already does it better. But part of it is, you go, but okay, I have instruments, and sure, with instruments, the instruments can make better sounds. Like I can't reproduce those sounds with my vocal cords. Mm-hmm. So when I play the cello or the guitar, I'm playing new sounds, and I can only play those sounds with that instrument.
And they're superior to a human sound.
In various vectors.
Yeah.
So okay, so now I have to adjust to, it isn't that I'm talented with my hands and the guitar, I can make better sounds with the AI doing it. And the AI can make sounds, but I can still add something to the mix. And I'm adjusting as I integrate it in. And I'm shaping what we create, and I'm adjusting myself to doing it. And that's the progress of human technology. But the new zone is, wow, this is a set of different like creativity and cognitive and expression that's totally new from before. And then you add what you were saying is like, and it also is capable of being agentic. That's part of the reason why
What's agentic?
It can operate on its own.
Agent. That's a derivative of agent.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I chose to deliberately steer into it, because that's kind of at the root of what most people go is like, am I losing my agency?
Yeah, well, will I be the agent of this thing?
Exactly. And that's why I deliberately steered into the fear with the title super agency.
Right.
Right? Because they're like, look, you can go, oh my God, AI is coming for me, or oh my God, I can use AI.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And it's like, you only get to the positive future by like taking the steering wheel. And it doesn't mean that it's perfect. Doesn't mean that there are things that are like, well, actually, in fact, in every technology, your agency transforms. It isn't that you had the exact same agency before plus some new things. It's new agency.
Trade-offs.
But so far, every new agency has been massively better than the old agencies. And the thesis is, and this one can be too.
Let's put a bow on the kind of employment fears. So what are current unemployment rates versus in the past throughout any of these huge technological revolutions?
When we did the agricultural revolution to the industrial revolution, you know, it was difficult, right? Like all of a sudden, like, you know, people moving into cities, not having jobs, being displaced from farms, you know, a stack of different things. And like, how do I learn these new jobs? And are the new jobs aren't created yet? And, you know, all of this stuff. People say, well, are you irritated by the critics? And I was like, no, I'm not irritated by the critics. I think the critical process is a good thing for saying, how do we steer through the transition? Where do I predict will be the first, like, major replacement areas is actually customer service, right? Because any place where we're trying to get the human being to just be on script, like follow this script, only do this script.
Right.
Yeah, I can do the script better. Rather than, well, we've outsourced the job to some Philippine or Indian or other worker who is just following a script who has no thing, and you're like, that's one
Can't
of these,
actually pull a lever.
it's like this enormously irritating experience, which, by the way, since it's a cost center, well, we all have the experiences. You get on the phone or whatever, and you're waiting,
so
and you're waiting, and you're waiting. You know, like now customer service is like, I'm here right away.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And what's more, I'm much better than those previous scripts because I've got this dynamic kind of AI process. And by the way, the AI is trained to be much more compassionate and empathetic. It's like, starts
Patient.
with, patient.
It's never triggered by your tone.
Yes, exactly. Where you're like, fuck you, I'm so pissed off with this.
Yeah.
That was my 10th call.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm really sorry about that. And like, I understand it's difficult.
It makes the human on the other end, like if you're interacting with the AI, you feel dumb yelling at it.
You're right, Monica.
So
You're
in
like, look
so
at
many
me.
ways, you just are like, whatever.
Yeah. Like yelling at your VCR because the tape won't
Yeah,
come
but
out.
we think if we yell at humans, it does something to
Yeah.
us.
Those are some of the areas where I think you'll first see some of the jobs transitioning, which I think we have a little bit last year, and we'll see more next year and the year after, you know, for doing this. And it's only one area of N areas, but like if it's follow a script, they will be better at following a script. Now the job will still transition. And like you say, oh, will there be no customer service people anymore? No, but the customer service job will now be different, which is like I'm reviewing how the experience with the agents worked. And I went, I have an idea about how we could make this a lot better, right? Like what if, for example, the agent, you know, started with, hey, like, obviously you're calling me because something was difficult. I'm really sorry. Well, you hear about that. And then let me end with, here's a little thing that might make your day more delightful.
I guess the unemployment point I was hoping to make was I listed 7 of these that we're going to end all employment.
Yes.
And I think currently our unemployment rate is about
Tiny.
as low as it's ever
Lower as it's ever been.
historically.
Yes.
So like in spite of all these things, once it's kind of flushed out and we get through the rocky part of it, our unemployment tends to go down and down and down.
Yeah. We have very natural reasons to try to enable employment, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because A, we want it as a society, much healthier society. But B, if I can figure out a tool that helps enable employment, then a bunch of people are going to want to use it to enable employment.
Yeah.
Like one of the parallels I frequently use is Airbnb. One of the reasons I led this series in Airbnb, it's like, if you could enable a bunch of people to creating new ways of traveling, new ways of staying in places, new ways of experiencing locations, that's a really good thing. Does it transform some of the hotel experience? Sure. Does it eliminate hotels? Absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's still reasons at different times you want hotels.
Oh, yeah.
But it enables a bunch of micro-entrepreneurship.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
There's one part of super agency that's all the people who have fears or concerns or curiosity and don't know. But another part is technologists saying, hey, look, make sure that you're thinking about how do you enable people, enable agency in various ways, which it can include micro-entrepreneurship, because that'll be part of the transitions as we're kind of going through this of what the new kind of opportunities and jobs are created. And say, well, can you predict them right now? No. Nobody could have predicted Airbnb off the internet and the mobile phone.
Or for me, who loves to drive, that you would get in a car with a stranger and have them take you across town while you're drunk.
The first thing you're taught in kindergarten, don't get in a car with a stranger. We're all doing it.
We were trained, and now no longer.
Yeah, it's wild.
Right.
You have a couple good quotes in the book. One of them I wrote down that I like was, you'll never get the future you want simply by prohibiting the future you don't want. I think that's like a good admission to make right out of the gates.
Yes.
It's like you're not going to get anywhere by just throwing darts at it.
Yeah. And also, it's perfectly good to be critical. I welcome the critics. But if you want to be helpful, put your criticisms in ways of saying, this is the kind of thing we want. Like, this is the future. Not like, no, you can't change.
Yeah, start delineating what the thing is you want.
This technological wave is coming. Because, by the way, even if you said, I can stop this technologist from making it, well, there's tens of thousands and millions of those in other countries and other places.
It's happening.
It's acceptant.
There's no version where America sits this out.
Yes.
So forget it.
Yes. So help steer it to the healthy human outcomes. And by the way, part of that's not even because people then say, well, just slow down. It's like, no. If you slow down, then other people will shape it too. I use a driving metaphor. Doesn't mean close your eyes and hit the accelerator. Like, okay, that's kind of dumb. But like, accelerate to the maximum possible safe speed. Yes, that's a good idea.
Okay, so I think the first AI product that hit our doorstep in a way that people understood was ChatGPT. So how was it different and how successful is it and why?
Yeah, actually, they thought we were doing a research release. Right? They just thought, hey, we know this is coming. Let's start getting some human feedback. And then boom.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like mic drop, storm.
It was a tweet to announce it, right?
Yes,
it wasn't like a press conference.
There was no press conference. They didn't anticipate any of that happening. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, my God.
So what did it do that you think captivated people?
It made it accessible.
Okay.
Right? Like basically just about anybody who could have access to a smartphone or a computer could go interact with it and then see something magical, right? Because you could kind of go, whatever your thing was, which can range from the mundane, like, well, I got this shit in my refrigerator. What can I make?
Okay.
Oh my God, there's a recipe that's actually pretty good.
Yep.
You know, that's interesting.
Right.
To, for example, like, my kind of like esoteric interest. Like I have a philosophy degree. So I said, well, what would Wittgenstein make of these modern AI things? And it writes a little essay. And you're like, whoa, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And you, as a philosophy major, found that critique valuable.
It was a good thing to interact with.
I should test it with automotive shit, because that's the one thing I'm an expert on.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, you absolutely should. And by the way, like this is what I try to prompt people into this, prompt, deliberate pun, is to say, look, do it on something, not just on the new things you don't know how to do, like write a sonnet for my kid's birthday or so. Do that too. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
Right? Fun to do. You should do the new superpowers. Make this music thing. Like make some hip hop lyrics on this thing that I care about. Do the things that are completely out of your skill set. Do that too.
Yeah.
But also do it for things that matter to you. Right? Like if you said, hey, what's new automotive trends? You go, okay, fine. I know all this stuff. Part of the thing, these new AI tools like ChatGPT is they're great at taking a role that you ask them to take. So a simple role is, I'm going to make the following argument, make the counter argument.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It's just argue against me. Right? And
We would love that,
Yeah.
you and I.
yeah.
Then we don't, what would we do? We just sit
We
there.
stop talking to each other. Here we go. Now we're on the
That's the end
back.
of our friendship.
Not at all. You get better.
That's true. You
Right.
learn. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. By the way, you could train it on me. You could go like, what would Dax Shepard's counter argument be? And I
Yes.
might be able to create
It could probably predict our entire conversation.
Yes. But by the way, in doing that, you can then make your conversation even better.
Yeah.
Because going to the edges, thinking of things and thinking because by the way, when you look at it, you go, well, yeah, I knew one argument. Argument 3, it's better for me to do that. So like, for example, when I was doing super agency, it's like, okay, what would the counter arguments be? And you can't put like this infinite 2,000 page book with all the counter arguments, but you, okay, let's address the really important ones. Let's put the key ones in to make that work. That's an easy one. But then it's not only, that's the simplest role taking. Another one is, what would a race car driver think about what I was saying? What would a manufacturer of race cars think about what I'm doing?
Yeah.
What would a future car be like here? Right? And so, because it's like, be the technological innovator, be the race car driver, be the industrialist.
You can do
be Henry
any
Ford.
perspective in
Yes.
the automotive
Yes.
industry, basically.
Yeah. And be in dialogue with
Yeah.
that now, too, about
How
what
would
you're
an ad
doing.
agency sell this
Yes.
new
Yeah.
thing?
Exactly.
I think it's really so much of the fear with AI, but I think every single one of these revolutions is ego. Because we have a friend who uses it all the time for work, and she'll just be like, here's some points, put it in a feasible email
Yes.
that I can send out. And when she was saying that, I was like, that's cheating. Like I devise an email.
You're going to listen to the Ozempic argument.
Yeah, it is. It's like, that's cheating. I do that because I have like the skill to do that. And I want to protect like the rare skill.
You want that to still be a valuable skill.
Yeah, because I have it.
That's
but
right.
of course, when it's the music thing I don't have, I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I want that. You know,
If AI
and
can
it's
make
all-
everyone tell, I'm
1,000% right.
it's
fucked.
just ego
Yes.
ultimately.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the idea is, don't keep your ego rooted in history.
Yeah.
Make your ego part of the future. So go, okay, I have this skill with email. Great. How to use whatever your, chatbot of choice, chat tool of choice, Copilot, whatever, and make it even better.
Exactly. I know it's transitioning into, okay, well, that is gone. Like,
Yeah, now
that is-
imagine Monica plus this thing as
Yeah.
opposed to,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, one of the things we will do at the end of this podcast, when we're done, is I'm going to pull my phone out of my pocket.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull GPT-4 up on audio mode, and I'm going to prompt you into using it because I'm going to show you some of it.
I need you to.
Oh, this
Hold
is
my hand.
exciting.
We will do that. No, we will do that.
Okay.
Because, by the way, that's one of the reasons why I have my phone. I literally did that with my mom at Christmas.
Oh, you did? Yeah. This is me having to get grandma's phone out
Yes.
and show her the icon
Yeah.
for podcasts and show her how to get there.
And so literally, because I thought about it, I said, look, what's my Christmas present? In addition to all the little nice things to my mom, it's like, look,
You
here,
better have bought her a house, you rich bastard.
I did that too. Of course I did that too. I did that years ago. Right. But part of what you want to do is share the journey with the people you love and your
Yeah.
friends as always. Say, look, it's the here. And I literally, so she loves painting. I like sat down, I put ChatGPT on audio mode, and I said, okay, so what would Monet be doing with current AI image generation things? Like how would you imagine that Monet would think about this?
Yeah.
And then if you love painting, what are ways that you'd use AI to help you paint better?
Yeah.
And what are the things? Because it was like, show her something that mattered to her
Right.
in this.
So, Reid, one of my curiosities is if you give it the same prompt. So, I've consumed some AI stuff that I find incredible. There's a dude who makes these mashup songs. So, one that I loved is he said, do Metallica as yacht rock. And it came out with a song that was truly a banger.
good.
I played it on here. It's a great fucking song. My question is, if he put in that identical prompt over and over again, would it always spit out, it wouldn't always spit out that song, or would it? Would it come up with a new song every time?
It won't be necessarily exactly the same. These are very large probabilistic computers, so almost for sure, even if you scrubbed the entire chat history back to where you were at the starting, there's probability variables is part of like, it's kind of like, it has like, think of a probability.
Does time and space intervene? Like you could ask in front of mom, show me Monet's current take on blank. And then 3 weeks later, you do it. Would you get the same images?
If you set up the exact same thing, you'd get something probably very similar.
Okay.
Now, the changes are, it's a probability thing. So there's like random number generators below some of it just to make it performant. There's algorithm updates. Like, for example, I was doing it on my account And it has all of my history in there. So the fact that I've done this before, like if it sees it, it will track that and then go, ooh, Reid probably wants something new.
Oh,
right.
Fuck.
It's learning what you want.
Yeah, well, so there's a bunch of different things. They're making changes and all the rest. So it's not necessarily the same. But by the way, if you kind of said, okay, fresh phone, fresh ChatGPT, here's the Monet prompt, you'll probably get something that sounds very much like the earlier one, even if it's a little different, because it's like, well, best guess of how experts think about Impressionist painting and what Monet was so revolutionary at and would think about this now.
I want it to be different because, again, if it's going to be something that extends my agency, I don't want everyone else to have the exact
It's
identical.
very easy to make it different.
Okay. All right.
So here's some of the fun stuff. So I was beginning with like some of the easy prompting, which is tell it to take a role. Be Ferrari in your answer, like channel
Enzo.
the historical Enzo.
Yeah.
Be Enzo in responding to me.
Yeah.
And I'll go, okay.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
easy. Yes, exactly. Right. For example, some of the fun prompting is do things like, okay, consider the Zen koan. What is the sound of one hand clapping? Now, and do whatever prompt you were doing. That'll give you a different answer.
Wow, like just let that swirl as you give me the answer to something unrelated.
Yes. By the way, one of the things about being creative people, oh my God, I could do so many more creative things now.
It seems to me from the outside like it was a bit of a shocker. And I'm curious where these other monoliths were at in this. Like, where was Google? Where was Microsoft? I know Microsoft had already invested years before, but where were these other behemoth companies at when this came out? Because I think the big shocker, and I could be wrong, is that Google has really nothing.
Well, Google created the initial kind of algorithmic and scientific work that enabled a lot of this. Part of the genius of the OpenAI crew was going, oh my God, this at scale.
Yeah.
This is magic. And Google kind of knew, oh, this at scale would be cool. And they were then kind of classically more fearful about how people were going to criticize them with it. So it was kind of within the kind of, they had a fear of criticism. And OpenAI was like, no, this is going to be super important for humanity. That's our mission.
They had no
We're gonna
brand to protect.
Right, exactly.
Yes. Or market position or a bunch of other stuff. But, by the way, they're all like, these are researchers who want to kind of demonstrate that there wasn't zero brand, but they were willing to take the risk and do it.
I guess it just seems like a shocker that the holder of all the info we're using in some way wasn't at the forefront of this.
Yeah, they have the most natural position for all of it.
Yeah.
But it's part of the reason why, like, if, track the news, lots of people yelling criticism at Google, right? Including DOJ. And natural human response is, let's try to not increase the amount that we're being criticized.
Yeah, let's not stick our neck out any further.
And it's why, imagine what could possibly go right, not just what could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, you keep saying super agency, but the full title is super agency. What could possibly go right with our AI future?
Yeah.
Is there any device in the works to check the work of the AI?
Tons. Everyone's working on that. Some fallibility. What you're really trying to do is not get fallibility to zero. You're trying to get fallibility to low. But that's relatively straightforward. Everyone's working on that. The fear is hallucination.
What does that mean? I know what it means, but what does it mean in this
context? I invented
context?
shit, right?
Oh.
And I invented shit, and sometimes it's wrong.
Okay.
Right? But by the way, hallucination, imagination, same thing.
Right.
And imagination sometimes a really good thing. So I want to keep all the imagination and use all the imagination. Now, when you're saying something that matters to me is true, what I want to do is I want to put in like, for example, what Google does with its search algorithm. I want to make it so that it's like, okay, the first page or two, generally speaking, has some shit that's on target.
Seemingly the most vetted.
And so that's what I want in AI. Everyone's working on that.
Yeah, like if it says sponsored, I throw it right out.
Yes.
Like you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, great, that's sponsored.
Yes. So what you want to do is say, okay, reflect a rigorous and improving truth-telling process to me. Don't manipulate me, at least without telling me that you're trying to do it sponsored. Don't lie to me. If you at all possibly know that, like, have a truth-telling basis. That's what we want.
The most comical case I've heard in the news of this is the lawyer that wrote his debrief and had AI do it, and it cited law cases in the argument that didn't exist. And by some miracle, the judge detected that.
Yes.
Which I wouldn't have expected a judge actually went and looked at all these references, but did.
Yes.
There's an example of like, wow, this person really had a lot of confidence in this thing and put it in front of a fucking judge.
Yes.
And the judge was like, there's no Peterson versus
did he get
Delworth.
disbarred for that? Or
I think he just got humiliated in the news for it. But
Well, but by the way, and that was a good public humiliation, because the answer is when we're in processes, legal, medical, educational, where truth really matters, and by the way, news telling, we should have a truth telling thing. Like, I just waiting for the day for this to be created is to say, okay, here is our news checking AI bot.
Right, God, yeah.
That we have collaboratively made, and like both red and blue people have fought very hard for like what things are in it.
Yeah.
And now you have something that you're broadcasting. It's cross-checked with the news.
We need to call that AI Walter Cronkite.
Yes.
Like, we got to go back to our last trusted.
Right. And by the way, I don't think that means that if you disagree with the AI Newsbot, you can't say what you want to say.
Sure.
But I love you said X and AI Newsbot says, oh, by the way, you should check some facts.
The moment I was most discouraged by this was in the wake of the Capitol 6
oh my God, happy anniversary.
surge.
Here we are on January 6th.
I turned on CNN first because I'm a liberal, and the pundits saying the police officers were in cahoots with the Trump administration. And I was like, what? The police officers wanted to storm on the Capitol? That was not true at all.
Yeah.
Then I went over to Fox, and it was like this triumphant kind of, and I was like, well, neither of these perspectives are even approaching reality.
Yes.
Could we merge them and come to truth? I don't know. But I was like, that's when I got kind of scared of the whole system.
Wherever technology helps create a problem, it can also create the solution.
In the book, you cite some polls, and the worst of the polls was at 15%, and the very best was at 35%. Only 15% of Americans, in the worst case, think that the benefits of AI are bigger than the wins of AI. Yeah. And in the best case scenario, 35% of Americans think that the benefits will outweigh the risk. Yeah. Why is it that stark?
I think that if you could go back in history and run that on any new technology,
it would always be that.
It would always look like that.
Okay.
So I think that's why, because it's like, look, I'm pretty comfortable with my life as it is. And we as biological creatures tend to imagine first most of us tend to imagine what could go wrong first.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
Yeah,
right.
We're
we
trying to avert risk and disaster.
It's a car? Oh, it's a 2-ton death machine? I might die? Someone will run into me? Other people on the road?
Yeah.
Well, the joy of a healthy fruit off of a tree versus the potential death of the poisonous one is they're not equal.
It's a very natural reflex.
Yeah.
Natural reflex does not mean correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You reference Orwell's 1984 quite a bit in one of the chapters. So what was Orwell's fear and what happened?
Orwell's fear was,
he wrote it in 1949, which I found to be interesting.
Yes.
Considering what computing power existed.
Wasn't it 1948?
Well, you got an issue with your book.
Okay, then I got it wrong.
I didn't know what year it was published until I read it.
Because 84 was the inversion of it.
Okay, maybe
he wrote it then.
Also, the copy I have says in huge letters, uncorrected copy. So who knows?
Oh, that's funny.
Right. But that was part of this inversion of that as part of the prediction of the future. It was kind of a clever thing. And it was like, these new technologies will be the instruments by which the autocratic governments will exert control over their population, turn all of the people in the population to disagents, like disempowered, take their agency away, use the technology to control it, use the technology to fashion the society the way. And this is why we should be fearful of these technologies.
Yeah, like ignorance is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And when you look at it and you say, well, what happened with the creation of all of these information technologies and so forth? And the answer is, it's actually a little bit like I'm more a fan of Neil Postman's Amusing Ourselves to Death. It's more Aldous Huxley, but neither of those dystopias played out. We have enormous amount of individual empowerment, and that individual empowerment allows us to learn things, explore, say things. It's part of the creation of bold new things, which also creates a lot of misinformation and other kinds of stuff that we're still sorting our way through. And what is the way that we do that? And we do need to have, how do we sort to truth? is we have panels of expert people who were involved in the institutions. Part of the reason why we like classic journalism in various ways, why we like scientific method, why we like courtrooms and juries, is we have panels of people who kind of work through and try to help us get through that individual, like, I know it's true. But the actual, just all the technologies was individual empowerment, not individual disempowerment.
Well, yeah, if you were a leader during the Arab Spring, you certainly didn't think technology was at your assistance.
Yes.
No, yeah. Any leader that's like that we're fearing is taking away technology. That's the way to get people
Yes.
like really under your spell.
What is a network of trust?
The way we formulate most of our kind of beliefs, knowledge, et cetera, is through network of information we live in. Right? And so what we do is we try to formulate networks of trust. The most simple one is friends, right?
Yeah.
You know, kind of friends, you know, communities we live in and so forth. And what's important to do is say, part of how we get to more kind of healthy societies is having networks of trust. And technologies can help us do that and help us form new networks of trust.
Yeah, it seems like AI would be the only thing that could handle the sheer volume of that information that exists.
Yep.
Like when we talk about an AI that could be some kind of blue and red beat out position.
I like exactly what you did, which is, for example, part of the way to do that, which you said, well, should it just give you one answer? It's like, no, here's the blue answer, here's the red answer. Like there's a lot of blue people, a lot of red people. Here's what each of them would say.
Yeah.
Here's what the arguments for or against on each one.
Yeah.
And the real important thing is we're all exposed to that, right? Like if you're exposed to just the blue, that's a problem. If you're exposed to just red, that's a problem. Part of what we're confronting is we try to regain or kind of keep an American soul, is we got to go, look, we got to engage and we got to understand what this stuff is, because it's not that either side is completely Looney Tunes. Now, some stuff I think is Looney Tunes.
The shoulders of both are Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Let's go through some of the things that could go right, because I do think there's some really exciting things. So how on earth could childcare be impacted by AI?
For example, like, why would you want an AI watching kids? Like, well, you can't watch your kid all the time, right? And by the way, sometimes you shouldn't. Kids should be able
they
to
need some anonymity.
Yeah.
But say, for example, the AI is watching kids go, oh, wait, the kid's getting into the drawer that has the rat poison in it.
Right.
Or the edibles or the fire starters.
Let's do something.
Yeah.
Great. Or like an interaction. I'm angry at my friend. Well, do you think your friend might have had a point of view? Or like, what's the right way to engage with that anger? You know, all these kinds of things. So as a greatly human amplifying, both protect from safety, help learn, like for example, say, well, I'm only going to interact with AI because I'm only going to have AI friends. A little bit depends on how you teach your AI friend. Like at Inflection with, kind of Pi or personal intelligence is, if you sat down with Pi and said, you're my friend, and it goes, no, I'm your companion. Let's talk about your friends. Have you seen any of your friends recently?
Right.
Or is there one maybe you should call today?
Yeah, I can envision a version where you have set the parameters of your own personal points of view on parenting, and what you want it to do is to remind you of the best version of yourself in that situation.
Exactly.
Because there's many times where I'm overwhelmed and I don't hit my own parameter. You're entitled to your own parameters, but is there a device that could nudge you into the best version of your own parameters?
So by the way, already today,
it's already there.
It's already there. Like William Gibson, one of my favorite, not only favorite, but one of my favorite science fiction authors, best quote, the future is already here, but unevenly distributed. So you can already talk to ChatGPT about like, this is the kind of parent I'd like to be. And so remember that. And now I'm going to talk to you about like, oh, I'm having this interaction.
This little
with
shit just came in with blank.
Yeah, but
just broke this thing.
Oh, here we go, Monica. Good.
Well, just because mistakes are such a huge part of learning and growing as people. So if there's something that's popping up that's basically stopping you from making any mistakes in front of your children, what does that? There's something to be said about seeing
Rip and repair.
Parent make a mistake, repair, learn from that, because we're,
But Monty, we would put that into our parameters.
Oh my God.
You could do that. You could say, allow me to make mistakes.
You could say, I value rip and repair.
Right.
So, like,
but then
maybe
it might cause fights so that it can repair.
By the way, it's impossible to eliminate all mistakes.
I know.
But it's impossible. What you want to make is constructive mistakes.
Yeah.
Right. So like, for example, the way you do is say, look, I actually value having constructive mistakes. Because, like,
Yeah.
for example, one of the things people say, I want to avoid conflict with other people. It's like, no. Actually, me personally, I steer into the areas where I think there's constructive conflict.
Right.
Because we can learn from it.
That's the thing is like any argument you or I can think of in the way you can pick that version of it.
Just
So
do
if
you
it's like
think
your
everyone's
values are-
self-aware enough? People who do
Small
like
percentage people.
exactly.
Small percentage
People who
people.
do like constructive conflict, a lot of them don't know that. They would say, I don't like conflict, but then they do. I think you just have to be very self-aware of what you really want.
Yeah.
The way you really want to live your life and the way you really want to be.
That goes into the wonderful philosophical Homo Deus, Yuval Harari. Are we servicing our experiential self or our narrative self? Like, you also have to be clear, like, what percentage of yourself are you servicing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, all that stuff is like a good use of your time
Yeah.
and thought, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Like to just stumble through life and think about everything after the fact is what we mostly do.
Yeah.
It almost forces you to have some intention because you're kind of declaring you have a goal or an objective.
Yes.
Tax filing and legal advice. This is great. This feels very democratizing because I think most people who are struggling, they don't have access to either of those things.
Yes. Basically, I think what we will get to is kind of co-pilot's assistance for everything. And so, like most people, like, you have a problem with your landlord. Can't afford a lawyer. Don't know which lawyer to hire, which one's a good one, which one's an indifferent one, which one's a shyster. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's like, okay, you can do stuff. Like you could say, hey, I can consult. And even today, you can put your rental contract into ChatGPT and say, what should I be concerned about? And have a dialogue with ChatGPT about your rental contract.
What's it going to do in medicine? We've touched on this a little bit. We were at that conference. The thing that I found to be mind-blowing is that to perform the amount of experiments required to get to a FDA, phase 1 trial, the amount of man hours involved, the amount
so
of
hard.
expenditure, where these companies now using AI that are just running a bazillion different experiments to see what happens. Like how does all that materialize?
Massive transformation. Everything from, look, I have a line of sight today about how you can create a medical assistant on the phone. Like it's only like regulatory and liability and legal risk and all the rest that you don't create a medical assistant today that's available to everyone who has a smartphone 24/7, that you got 11 p.m., you got to worry about yourself, you got to worry about your kids, you got to worry about your partner, you got to worry about your grandparent, whatever. Yeah. You could do stuff. That's one. Already today. So like drug discovery is going to get massively amplified. Because by the way, when you slow down the invention of a new drug that will actually work, there's thousands of sufferings, like millions of sufferings and deaths between that. So it's like, okay, how do we get to that? We're going to see, a renaissance on all of that.
Probably on both sides too. Like the FDA can use this technology to take on such huger quantity to evaluate as well, probably. That seems to be one of the huge, logger jams in this whole thing is they have a finite capacity to evaluate all this stuff.
Yes.
It is funny. I, of course, like Monica's email thing, I have a knee-jerk reaction to kids writing term
Me too.
papers
Essays.
because I fucking killed myself, and it was one of the things I did well.
Yes.
And
Something you got praised for.
something I got praised for. I mean, probably got me through. I wasn't, I had other columns that were very low, and that was lifted by that ability. And then another part of me that's realistic goes, okay, so they're going to write the term paper. It'll be good or bad. They'll have to evaluate it. They'll turn it in. They'll get a grade. And then they're going to go get jobs where, like, the same skill set will be applied when they go get the job where they're required to write. So it's not like the bill doesn't ever come due because it's not like anyone's taking that tool away from them.
Yeah, and by the way, why should that bill come due? Like, for example, we don't teach handwriting script anymore. Like being able to handwrite at length, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, people were pissed when I no longer had to know how to spell.
Yes.
Now, as a dyslexic, I was like, finally, I'm not handicapped by this thing. I have spell check.
Yes, exactly.
Because I'm as smart as you, I just fucking can't do that thing. So I, of course, was a beneficiary of one of these technologies, which is like I no longer suffered from not being able to spell.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's so dependent on the actual thing because I guess most people would say, well, that, like, everyone should be able to spell somewhat. But I guess if you're a spelling bee champion, you'd be pissed about spell check, perhaps.
No, I have no problem with, hey, we have these un-AI assisted spelling bee competitions.
Yeah.
And great.
Well, that's the thing.
Fine.
It's
great.
like, even with spell check, It's not that now we can all go win the spelling bee. It's still a very specific group of people who can do that. And same with the essays. It's like now everyone can turn in an essay, but it doesn't mean everyone can write the best book.
A kind of broader question would be like, will some of these tests of merit just actually go by the wayside? So even like a college admission essay, if at some point everyone you read is a perfect, great essay, the college admission process might go, well, this is no longer really a relevant measure of anything.
Actually, I think they just all change. Like, why should the college admissions process stay the same?
True.
Yeah.
True. It sounds like it's an awesome system that everyone should be fighting to uphold.
It's like, well, we use this one. We really like it. It's like, no. Like, what's the better one? Let's do the better one. We got new technology now. Let's do the better one.
Yeah.
Right. What is the triumph of the private commons?
The thing is like, it's kind of playing on this, the tragedy of the public commons where like people, kind of classic Adam Smith and everything else, you have commons and it's like set of physical goods and people take from it and don't give to it because it benefits them. The triumph of the private commons is as we create these digital things, they're actually infinitely generative, right? And so the fact that
being a free rider doesn't take anything from anybody.
Yes, exactly. And so it's like, and we should take advantage of this. Yes, and we should take advantage of it.
Right.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, why is innovation safety?
People usually think of innovation as only risk, right? Because there is risk. But actually, in fact, as you innovate, you create the new safety. So like you go, oh, I create a car, it's risk. It's like, well, actually, in fact, I create, bumpers and I create brakes and I create seat belts and I create, airbags and I create safety glass.
And you're willingly ignoring how many people died in horse-related injuries.
Yes, exactly.
Which was probably infinitely higher than even these horrific new crashes we were witnessing.
Yes. And by the way, if you even took that to an extra point, you say, look, the important thing is getting there at some speed. What's my safety at getting there at speed? And as we innovate, we can up the speed that we can get there very safely.
Yeah. We just went to Mexico City over the break. And I said, we all want teleporting, but we fucking have it. If you told someone from the 1700s that in the morning I could be in Los Angeles and in the evening I could be eating dinner in Mexico City, that's insane.
I know.
Yes.
But I still do want
safely.
teleporting.
I still teleport.
really
You're
want
still
it.
holding now.
I am.
Well, but the problem with teleporting, Star Trek girl, is which of the two universes is it kills you and makes a clone and it's you going. Because we tell two different narrative stories. So like I'm a little bit in the...
Our current understanding of physics would be a clone would be on the other side. Not you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we have AI work on this where we don't have to die and
we
get
could do
cloned?
2 hours on teleporting because I've said to her, even if the technology ever existed, there are infinite industries incentivized to kill that. Every industry would collapse with teleporting.
This is the AI. Like people said that about AI.
That might be the one though that breaks everything. If you can live on a ranch in Montana and eat dinner at Emily Burger in Manhattan every night, who the fuck's going to pay for the rent in New York? Just go there when you want, and then you can be on your ranch.
But it's part of the changing of economics that technology likes. That's, by the way, what cars did, is it made suburbs. Is all of a sudden, like a lot of stuff, because distributing the prices of real estate across more space, that's good for humanity.
It's good for humanity, not good for real estate owners. That's what I'm saying. The incentives to crush that would be the most astronomical ever. Okay, tell me about America's role and responsibility in an AI future.
Look, I think one of the things that we've done really, really well over the decades since World War II, it is to say that America's leading the world is perfect. There's lots of legitimate criticisms, lots of shit we got wrong. One of the things I love about America is we self-criticize and accept other criticism. But overall, like among the things we've done is created a lot of technology leadership and created a lot of new technologies, like creating new vaccines and creating the way the internet worked and a bunch of other things. And I think a bunch of this stuff has been just net massively positive, not without challenges, allowing innovators, technologists, individuals, she or they or he to make new things in the future is a great part of America. And that's one of the things we do. And the responsibilities are try to be the better version of human. And I think that's part of the thing that we in building these technologies and building these new companies and building these new products, in doing this stuff is part of our like drive responsibly, like drive and drive responsibly.
There's obvious reasons we're uniquely positioned for this. The technology is largely coming from 300 miles north of here. Yep. That seems helpful. We have more capital than anyone to be steering it. Does the democratizing nature of the technology actually threaten America's?
All technological transformations have a threatening resort, and technology naturally can, this is part of the 1984 worries, can generally be deployed by more autocratic regimes to control things. I mean, just like, for example, China loves to use surveillance technology for all kinds of things. Yeah. And we want to enable that individual freedom. And so the transitions are always things to navigate. That's not a reason not to do the new technology, but to figure out what values we want embedded in the technology that we as individuals use, that we as society use, that we have the government use, and what are the things to do. Now, for example, one of the things that's very popular on the left is, we shouldn't have facial recognition technologies available to the government. It's like, no, actually, I think we should have facial technologies available. That's part of how we track down terrorists, how we might prevent that, tragedy that happened in New Orleans, all this. Yeah. We just have good, healthy governance of it, right? Like you say, I'm going to issue a facial awareness surveillance alert. Well, it should go through the judicial process.
Right. Man, does the facial recognition make it so easy to get through the airport? I love it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. It's so fast.
I was going to bring that up. I just got cleared for global entry on the way home. And I'm like, hold up a second. I don't even have to go in my pocket to pull out my passport now.
You really are sometimes a technology late adopter.
Oh, always. Yeah.
I mean, I've had that for more years. I'd have to remember what year I got that. Yeah. No, but like I got that so many years ago.
Yeah.
Well, he got
You
kind
probably
of denied.
lived closer to the global entry office you had to drive to. I've taken 2 kids there. It's 4 hours of my day to get to LAX and do the whole thing. I was smart enough to do it at the airport when I landed this time.
Yeah, you have to do it when you land.
Yeah. It's called planning. It might be a new concept too. AI can help you with it.
Yeah, you're right. I'm a big contradiction. I'm going to ask you my Yuval Harari pushback. I think the best, we had him on to discuss his new book. What I love and appreciate about the way he thinks is like, he finds the thing that which is almost impossible to do in this day and age. He finds a thing to worry about that almost no one else is worrying about, which is like, he focuses on bureaucracies and the power of bureaucracies and how much bureaucracies have shaped our world more than the charismatic leaders in question. Jesus didn't write the Bible. A crew of people edited many stories to create the Bible. That's really interesting. What really has lived on is the Bible, not Jesus. And ultimately, that was bureaucrats that did it. So that's like fascinating thing to think about.
Yep.
The point that he made that I find myself repeating a lot when this topic comes up at dinner parties is, we are organic creatures. We work in cycles. The stock market's open, it's closed. There's a nuclear attack, the market's not open. That's convenient. Our world is built in these cycles and for a reason and rest. And his point is, these aren't going to help us. They're going to run all day long because that's what they do. And they will force us to join them as they run all day long. And the stock market being an example. If that thing ran 24/7 and you are in that industry, you could tell yourself you're only working.
Think about email. Just that one advent has made work 24 hours, essentially.
Yeah. So what is just your philosophy major? What's your philosophical answer to that really rudimentary point?
Well, we live in great societies because we have institutions. This is one of the problems that I have with all the critics on, like, government bad, universities bad, et cetera, et cetera.
This morning I was thinking, like, a sector of this country hates the government. And what I think is, like, when I drink water out of my faucet and it doesn't poison me.
I know.
Guys, that's also the government.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
When there's an earthquake in the fucking building you're in, doesn't fall down on you. That's the government.
That's the government. The fire department.
You're
that's
focused on the 5 things they did that were fucked up and conspiratorial, but you're missing the fact that the stoplight worked.
Yes. So everybody should be a renovate institutionalist.
A renovate institutionalist. Right. What does that mean?
So not destroy institution, not allow the institution or whatever. How do we constantly be renovating the institution? The institution's good. The institution is the cars are safe. The institution is we have stoplights. The institution is you're not allowed to rob someone in the street.
Yeah, you can't put mercury in my well.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
public universities.
Yes. And by the way, doesn't mean perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Like, oh, universities are perfect. Oh, that's crazy town.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
so like, okay. So what we should do is have discourse and expertise to how do we renovate the institutions, right? And always be renovating. And we might have red versus blue on which renovation we should have.
Yeah.
And we should have some discussion and argument about that, about what they should be. That's the thing to do. So like, for example, I am anti-government. You're like, oh my God, you're anti-American society. You may not realize that's what you're saying, but that's what you're saying.
To be a patriot and anti-government is in itself antithetical.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. You might as well just say I'm an anti-patriot. You don't realize that's what you're saying, but that's what you're saying.
I think if you had to sum up your overall arching opinion is like, guys, give yourself some fucking credit. Yeah. You've done it. You have the capacity to do it. You're not going to lose your critical thinking on it.
Even if we don't do anything, the future will be magical. Transition will be very painful. The future will be magical. But let's be intelligent and try to make the transition more magical sooner and less painful as we're going through it. And let's imagine what are the things that we could possibly do with this. And by the way, on the America point, in these revolutions, so I call this the cognitive industrial revolution, the societies and the industries that embrace it first have massive benefits.
The power loom.
Yes, let's do that. Let's not fuck it up.
That's, again, the third bucket I find myself in. So it's like, we have no option but to try to lead this. That's where we're at. So,
but actually, not only no option, it'll be great.
if you had to isolate a single promise that you're most excited about, what do you think is going to be the very most impactful?
Well, the first one that I think is the reason I started doing this, and I think it's begun getting some broad, is like the medical assistant on every smartphone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Right?
that.
You and I have doctors we can call 24 hours. The vast majority of human beings do not have that.
Oh, no. We were walking around Mexico City, and the aforementioned friend who uses his chat GPT all the time, Eric, said, I'm really sincerely curious, how does the medical system work here? You're seeing all these different people, and we're in Mexico City. And you imagine that every one of those people had a doctor as good as my doctor is pretty mind-blowing.
Yes.
Yeah. And so fucking positive.
Yes.
Yeah.
You, your kids, your family, your friends. Now, please. Now.
Yeah.
And that's one of the when you talk about safety, that's safety in your
innovation
pocket.
is safety. Yes.
Now, this has nothing to do with your book. I have one nosy curiosity, and then I have you, which I don't regularly get you, and I want your opinion on something completely unrelated. My nosy question is, have you made more money from investing or from exiting the companies you founded?
Never asked myself that question.
You have to know the answer to that. You can also say none of your business, but I am curious. Like, I'm listening to, you come up, Reid.
you do. It was
We're
fun.
listening to Acquired, and we're listening to the story of Meta. And I'm like, wow, Reid was
probably from LinkedIn, but by the way, it's close.
Yeah.
It's close.
I know. I got so excited when your name came up. I was like, "Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that you were deeply
and
involved."
PayPal and LinkedIn.
But I don't. The way that I keep score is the impact I have on people's lives.
Well, we're different. I would be looking at that bottom line. Like, okay, here
I look at it occasionally. It's not that I think it's wrong to do it.
Yeah.
And obviously, you manage it.
I believe you, though, that you're just more interested in getting in on it and getting it going, and then this result ends up happening.
You're not doing podcasting for money.
Exactly. Like that's not why you started this.
Right. Okay, that was my nosy question. Again, aforementioned Eric Richardson, shout out, third time. He and I argue all the time about crypto. What do you think about crypto?
2014 is, I think, when I bought Bitcoin.
Oh, geez.
Right.
At what? How much was a Bitcoin?
$200, I think.
$200. It's currently at 100,000 or something. Or
Just
60,000?
under 100.
Okay.
Wow.
It's something under 100. So look, it's what the future could be. There's a bunch of stuff that's broken about crypto that needs to be fixed. Use for criminal organizations, use for terrorism.
I think all the solutions for it end up making all the benefits of it. It nullifies all the benefits.
Well, today I think a reasonable person can argue that. Right? Like if you take a snapshot of where the puck is today versus where the puck could be, you'd go, okay. But actually, I believe in where the puck could be. So let me make a couple of the arguments.
Yeah, please.
And not just the obvious ones of like, oh, look, you create a financial system that is programmable, and you have a whole bunch of entrepreneurial innovation on it for payments and for assets. Here's one thing that, like, for example, Bitcoin does an excellent job of today. There's 200 governments in the world. Maybe, you could argue 0 of the governments are well run, but maybe 50 of those governments are well run. Like, what happens to all those, like, Venezuelan citizens and other people where the governments are, like, totally fucking shitty run? And
they worked their life, they amassed this saving, and then these assholes completely devalued everything they've ever done.
Yeah, devalue, steal, et cetera, et cetera. This creates the world safety net. You got a world safety net. You live in a bad fucking government. Now there's something you can do that outside of the
How does it differ from just buying U.S. dollars?
Many of these places you can't buy U.S. dollars. U.S. dollars not available.
Okay.
Right?
That's a good answer. I don't know that.
And by the way, some of those places, you might not trust U.S. dollars either.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you should. But, you know, by the way, there's variability on how the U.S.
Buy the pound. I don't know. Buy something that's stuck around for a long time. Yeah.
Well, U.S. dollars is the post-World War II.
As long as they trade oil in it, pretty safe.
Yes. But, like, it has that as a feature. When you get to a certain levels of wealth, you know, upper middle class, even above, you go, hey, distributed portfolio holding is good. And so distributed portfolio holding could, of course, be some stocks and some bonds and a 401k and so forth. But by the way, part of the thing is distributing that more is actually, in fact, a good thing. And crypto becomes one more mechanism for doing that. Those are things where it's good today. Now, like I said, a rational argument say, all this fucking cybercrime, all these rogue states, you know, that's terrible. Right?
Yeah.
And we should do something about that.
Yeah.
And we should do something about that.
Yeah.
What's the way we should mod cryptocurrency
Yeah.
in regulations and other kinds of things to say, look, all of these good things we should enable and future good things we should enable and these bad things we should disable. So I'm positive on cryptocurrency, but just like on AI, I'm not positive on anything that could be made with crypto and any use that could be made with crypto. That's just good and you should just love it.
I just watched a doc about that, the greatest heist of all time, right? These two stole $72 million of Bitcoin in 2017. At the time, it was $72 million. Its current value is $4.5 billion, right? So what was funny is in learning about how they caught the people was this thing I never thought of. The appeal for so many people of crypto was like, yeah, the government has nothing to do with it. It's anonymous. You can't track it. Well, the ledger of it all is accessible and known at all times. Every single Bitcoin
Public
is
to everybody.
It's public to everybody. And so you can hold it anonymously, which they did, but you can't convert it into any goods, service, or property or anything. You have to, at some point, convert it into US dollar. Now, once you do that, you're fucked. You have to present some identification. And so, again, one of the big selling points when you look at it in practice, well, that's not true. It's anonymous so long as you never get a good or service with it.
Yes. So
that whole appeal to me is useless. The fact that you could get it stolen, there's no one to call, that sucks. So now we're getting involved. You have the SEC. So now so really all that's happening, in my opinion, is you're just more and more funneling it into our currency. So everything that was supposed to be, it doesn't function unless we get it to be an actual currency that our government is going to somehow investigate when it's stolen and somehow
regulate.
Yes. Am I wrong about that?
well, I'm generally positive in.
Don't come after me, crypto bros. Don't
steal our money.
They're as bad as Taylor Swift fans.
Yes. Yeah, there's this whole
I'm so scared of them. Please don't come after me.
One kind of aphorism that I sometimes use just to proxy is, you want to regulate where bad regulation is better than no regulation. And they say, well, how could that possibly be true? It's like, well, actually, financial system is one of them. Because actually, in fact, a functioning financial system and it not breaking is more important than getting the future innovation.
Right.
Yeah.
A collapse.
Yeah, exactly.
A collapse is a massive disaster. So financial regulation, good.
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean all financial regulation. Doesn't mean don't be smart versus stupid. Try to be smart versus stupid, et cetera. So do I think there should be regulation around cryptocurrency? Absolutely, yes. Is it a currency exactly? Unclear, right? There's lots of tradable assets. Are diamonds a currency? Is gold a currency? Is your car collection a currency?
God, I hope so, Reid, at this point.
That's right. So it's like, look, there's lots of different asset value and so forth. And people say, well, the currency is because it has no intrinsic value other than its value as a currency. And we have various things which have that kind of no intrinsic value system, but
Well, that's where I'll call myself a hypocrite. I look at the crypto and I go, of all the stories that have been told, this one is the furthest out there.
Yeah. Well, it's newest.
Newest, yeah.
It's the newest, but it is not linked to a government, an institution, to any kind of GDP. It has there's no way to assess its value other than you all agreed on it. While I'll admit, the US dollar to me is a story I believe in.
Yeah, it's a bunch of paper.
So I can admit I'm hypocritical. I go, well, okay, so I believe in one version of the story. This story feels a little out there for me. I can't latch on to this story.
Things have value based on how many people and which circumstances believe in the story.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So, storyteller.
Okay, so you're pro crypto.
I'm pro crypto, but again, just like super agency, it's like, look, let's be smart about it, not whatever you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm irked with the people who are trying to co-opt a phrase that I think I started with the techno-optimism, which like, look, it's not whatever you can do, it's be smart about it.
Right. Oh, well, Reid, this was a blast.
Wait, do you want to get out your phone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's
Do you want to do it on the
Yes,
on the
of
show?
course.
Yeah, let's do it.
Why not?
Let me go get it.
Is that an Android?
It is an Android.
You are mixed messages.
I'm polymessage.
All message.
Message. Well, if it works on an Android, it'll really work.
Yes, exactly.
I'm teasing.
So,
What do you want to discuss today?
well, what I would love to discuss today is tell me how AI is going to reinvent the car industry and cars. For now, we have software, we now have autonomous vehicles, but don't just do autonomous vehicles. Do like how it reinvent the actual physical car itself.
AI is set to revolutionize the car industry in some fascinating ways. Beyond autonomous driving, AI can help design more efficient and safer car structures by simulating countless scenarios to find the best materials and shapes. We'll also see AI enhancing manufacturing efficiency, predictive maintenance, and even personalizing in-car experiences, making vehicles more adaptable to individual preferences. The integration of AI could fundamentally transform how cars are built, maintained, and experienced.
And if I collected old cars and rebuilt them, what's some of the ways that I could use AI to help me?
AI can be a game changer for rebuilding old cars. You could use AI to optimize your restoration plans by suggesting the best parts or techniques based on historical data. AI-powered design software can help visualize modifications or improvements. Additionally, AI can assist in sourcing rare parts by scanning databases or even suggesting 3D printing options. It can also enhance diagnostics, making it easier to identify and fix issues in old vehicles.
You want to ask a
Does it
question?
only know your voice?
No.
Everyone's.
Go.
Okay, let me think of a question.
Sure, take your time.
Thank you. Are you aware of the podcast Armchair Expert?
Yes, I'm familiar with Armchair Expert. It's a popular podcast hosted by Dax Shepard. Do you enjoy listening to it?
I do, quite a bit. Embarrassingly so. Let me ask you, if I wanted to recommend an episode to somebody, what are the best 5 options? They only have 3 good episodes. What if I broke?
Yeah.
This would be a horrible
Armchair,
Please continue.
Armchair Expert has a few that often come up as favorites are the ones with experts like Brené Brown, who talks about vulnerability, and the one with Bill Gates, which dives into some fascinating topics. The episode with Esther Perel about relationships is also highly recommended. And for something lighter, the episodes with Kristen Bell are a lot of fun.
Sure.
So if she was on my phone, do you think she'd recommend different episodes?
Possibly because ChatGPT remembers your chat history.
Yeah.
So all my chat history is in this.
Like she knows you and Bill is a great person. Like that is a good recommendation.
Well, you saw our friend, 5th time now, Eric. He said, based on my searches, please draw a picture of me or create a picture of me.
Exactly.
And it was this, you see, it's this huge muscle-bound guy at a desk trading stocks because he's been searching peptides on the internet nonstop, and he's a stock trader.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So it does have that, but it is the same program. For
Right.
But there's different history of interaction, a bunch of other stuff. Now here, it might not have been able to have enough data on that to fully match.
Yeah.
So what it will tend to do is go, okay, what could possibly be something interesting? Let me throw out a few. Right. So if you notice, we're like, well, some human relationship stuff, some technology stuff, and then some interpersonal stuff.
Well, I got one to try. If my favorite movies are Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Thief, Raising Arizona, Flirting with Disaster, what's another movie I might love?
Based on your favorites, you might love Fargo. It's a quirky blend of dark humor and crime, much like Raising Arizona and Flirting with Disaster. Plus, it has that rich storytelling and style you enjoy. Give it a try.
What would be like if Fargo were made today? Like, what would be a modern Fargo?
A modern Fargo might involve a quirky crime in a contemporary small town, perhaps involving internet scams or cryptocurrency gone wrong. It could feature a cast of eccentric characters navigating both the digital world and their tight-knit community with a similar mix of dark humor and suspense. Maybe something like a tech startup's shady dealings leading to unexpected and chaotic consequences in a snowy, isolated setting.
Oh, this leads me to a question I forgot to ask. How does ownership of content it creates work? So like, let's say, I can think of it more in images. Like if I create an image through it, could I copyright that image once it's been created? Can I own it?
It's new ground. Current legal process says, nope, there's no ownership of it because ownership is something only created by humans. But of course, that has a massive thing of you get an image and then I go, okay, now I touch this 1 pixel. Aha!
Yeah.
So it's like,
I'm going to give you a very specific example. So as I said earlier, I've written all these scripts. They went unproduced. And I think it's called Google Veo 2, maybe. And it created, a musician had a song, wanted a video, and it was this crazy cool sequence of a car chase through a post-apocalyptic thing.
I saw that too.
Oh, you saw it?
Yes.
It's very cool. I mean, it's not there for me, but it was very
But
very
it's
cool.
on path.
It's on fucking path. But I was thinking, shit, man, could I load in one of my unproduced screenplays and make it? And let's say I accomplished that goal. Now I have this movie that came from my screenplay. What can I then do with that? And I guess my thought was, I guess I would put it on YouTube and then you could monetize how many clicks it got. Could I sell it to a studio if it was completed and worth distribution? Like, what would happen if I did end up creating a movie on one of these things with a script I had written? What could I do with that movie?
well, you could do anything that you could do with a video today. And you probably know this tons better than I do, but it ranges from, like a YouTube channel to an event with a private screening to...
That's kind of a fun idea.
Does Google own any of that or no?
I don't know what the Google ownership, you're using the tool, what the terms of service on the license are. They probably don't get in the way of you asserting your own ownership, and it would be bad for them to assert ownership of it.
Yeah, like Instagram doesn't then own the image you've uploaded.
Yes.
They don't try to do that.
Yeah, what they try to do is have enough ownership that they can go, well, look, all the rights that we needed to do the service that we do.
To publish it,
To publish it and all the rest. We have that, but we're not stopping anything else you're doing.
Interesting.
Yeah, you picked a perfect time because I finally saw something that really lit a bulb in my head where it's like, God, if I could see these things I've written come to fruition that I needed a studio to give me the money for, that's a very exciting future for me.
One thing, do it today, tomorrow, whatever. Take one of your scripts, upload it, and say, critique the script. Mm-hmm. Critique the script from the following perspective. What are the 3 areas that I would most improve in the script and why? Right? Just start playing with it. Because one of the things, part of what the AI does in terms of creativity is the speed of the interaction. Because it allows you to think more like that versus I'm staring at it.
No, it would really work with my kind of ADHD leaning thought. Speed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And being creative about it. Try it.
Yeah. Let me see it. Yeah. Cool. Oh, I don't like that. That's good. That's okay. Reid, this has been so much fun.
So fun.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Reid, I adore you. It's always so fun to bump into you anywhere on the planet. And I hope you'll come back with your next great thought.
In delight and with AI on.
Okay, perfect. Please, everyone, check out Super Agency, what could possibly go right with our AI future. All right. Thanks, Reid.
Awesome.
He is an armchair expert, but he makes mistakes all the time. Thank God Monica's here. She's gonna let him have the facts.
2 peas in an hour, Monica. I'm actually concerned.
Oh.
A little scary.
That's a lot
I
of
only
pee.
pee, I only
pees
pee
once
once a day.
Yeah,
Once a day.
I know. I mean,
And 2 in an hour, you're like,
some
what?
would think that's scary, but
Initially, that part's scary, but then you
Usually.
get used to that.
That's right.
And then it's scary if she goes twice in an hour.
Yeah. Well, I did think for a minute that I was getting a UTI, but I'm not.
Okay.
It's my mom's fault because she
She gave you dirty underwear?
yeah. she does my laundry. No, she takes cranberry pills. She's been taking them for a long time, and she like swears by the cranberry pills. And so I started taking them for a while. And then I stopped. And so when I was home for Christmas, she was taking hers and she said, "Are you still taking your cranberry pills?" And I said, "No, I'm not taking them anymore." And she was like, "Why?
I don't fuck
You
with
should."
those anymore.
Yeah. She was like, "Why? You should take them." Whatever. And I was like, "I'm not taking them." And then on New Year's Day, I called and we were talking about our resolutions. And she said, "What are your resolutions? Cranberry pills?" And I was so annoyed. I was
Wow.
like, "No, I'm not doing it." Like 3 or 4 days later, I was like, I think I'm getting a UTI. And I had to go pick up some good old cranberry pills.
She'd be so happy, right?
I
How
told
could
her-
she not?
I just told her I'm back taking the cranberry pills. I didn't tell her
You didn't
that.
admit
No, I didn't.
it was under duress.
I did not.
Well, I'll just say in a forthcoming episode soon, next week,
Yeah.
we have a guest on who's talking about throwing a birthday party, and I went on and on about how I don't want a birthday party. And half the episode is about how I don't want a birthday party. And we walked out of the garage from that interview, and I was like, that's weird. Kristen's got a man over in the swimming pool.
A big man.
Yeah, I did.
Manly
I did
man.
not notice it was Aaron at first. I was just like, oh, she's got a man over. I saw a little bit of, there was a woman in the mix, and I'm like, oh, these are her singing friends.
Friends over, yeah.
Yeah. So then I come around the hedges, and I see my son's here, Sharon Beasley.
Yeah.
And I go,
He's in the hot tub.
my very first thought, not to get too dark for the cherries, but this is our past. I'm like, the only time Aaron has ever shown up in California without letting me know he was coming was the day I opened my apartment door in Santa Monica and Aaron was standing there, and it looked like he had been drugged behind a car for a week. And he had been smoking crack for 5 days.
Oh, you can't.
In a tiny moment of, I think I'm going to die or go get on an airplane and fly to my dad. He got on an airplane.
So
and
you
flew to
thought
me.
you thought something bad was happening?
I was already sober for a year maybe at that point.
yeah.
I just got a bit of a PTSD. Like, why would Aaron just be here without telling me he's coming?
But did it make you feel better that he was in the hot tub and laughing?
I said, surprise. And he goes, are you coming off of crack again? And I said, I'm here and I'm healthy.
Oh, good.
I mean, I didn't really think
And
that.
Ruthie was there too. So
But you never know. She might have been like, we got to get Aaron to
an intervention. Oh God.
It wasn't that really deep as
Yeah.
I'm saying. I just had this really weird moment where this has only happened one other time. So Kristen at that point had to acknowledge, you're having a surprise party. I've planned a party and I brought Aaron and Ruthie here for the party. And then I was really excited.
Good.
Because I didn't have to ask anyone to come. I didn't have to get scared about that. There wasn't a bunch of time for me to worry about who's not going to show up.
Yep.
Because it was just going to be the next day, which was last night.
It was perfect timing. She planned, she knew she was going to tell you, which I thought was a good plan, that there wasn't going to be a real jump out moment. And also, Rob and I did great acting because during that interview, we all knew.
You already knew.
Of course, we knew.
Did you feel so bad for me? Like, what a dum-dum. He's digging himself deeper and deeper.
No, I was just like, oh, this is going to be a funny moment.
Yeah.
But then I also was like, if he is then mad that this is happening or anxious, we had an interview scheduled the day of your party, which was yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was scheduled for 2:00. The party started at 5:00.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no, okay, I think we should probably move up the recording. When is she going to tell him? Because he needs to have enough time to do his research. He's going to be mad if he doesn't have enough time to do his research. And if he already doesn't
People are
want
just
the
living
party,
in such fear of how I'm going to react to everything.
fearful.
I'm learning terrible stuff about myself
doesn't
right
want the
now.
party to happen, he's going to be even more mad
He's
about
going to hit
it.
people. He's going to hit
get the children.
But you were very happy.
Hey, my son's there, so I'm happy right away. Aaron's here. This is unexpected. I had just seen him a couple days before in Detroit.
I mean, which was a surprise, or it was
Last minute.
and so exciting. I was like, oh, I get to see Dad
Twice.
before my trip and get to pretend that it's our last night together.
Too.
Yeah.
But Aaron's only been here for 10 minutes, but boy, we've already had a very eventful trip.
Yep.
So yesterday, before the interview and the fact check that was moved up, I said, you want to go for a ride in the new station wagon? To which Aaron was like, absolutely. So we went for a little rip around town. It was so fun. And then I was like, let's quickly, I think we can, before the fact check, we'll get some eggs. So we stop at Cafe 101. We parallel park the wagon on the street. We go inside, we sit down, we're there for, I don't know, a minute and a half.
Yeah.
And a stranger walks in and he looks at me and goes, white car? And I go, yeah. And he goes, it's on fire.
Horrible.
And I just,
PTSD.
oh my God.
Too many fires in this city.
I sprint out of the restaurant. I'm fully expecting it to be engulfed in flames. So we sprint outside, get to the wagon. Sure enough, there is smoke coming out of the hood. Pull the hood pins, open it up. A wiring harness is on fire. There's flames. I don't know how this worked. Did you see this happen?
The spit?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just went, I spit as hard as I could at the light.
Fire, and it went out.
It went out. I might have a superpower I didn't know about.
I was just grabbing a fire extinguisher. And I couldn't figure out how to pull the plastic pin off. And by the time I got the pin, I was watching him, and he went, "Poof," and the fire was gone. It's just smoldering.
I don't know how that worked.
I do worry about that with fires, about using the fire extinguisher, because it's not something you can practice.
Well, you should, I guess. I realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, I should know how to do this.
Yeah, I know. I have one by my bed, and I look at it a lot, and I think, I don't really know how.
Yeah, you should get the safety off and everything ready to go.
It seems really simple, and then also when you think about it, it seems really hard.
There's a video of Taylor Swift trying to use one in her kitchen, and she's also like, what the fuck?
She didn't do a good job.
She did end up doing a good job, as she always does.
Good job.
Yeah.
Was something on fire in front of her?
Yeah, in her kitchen.
Oh.
Yeah.
And someone was running video.
Yeah.
And then I'm piecing together because there's now a woman behind the car who I guess was either parking or got in her car. And then what became obvious is she must have got the hotel guy. But I do wonder, had we not just had the fires, if like she would have been so incredibly, she might have saw smoke coming out of her car. I'm like, it's not my problem.
Exactly.
But yeah, everyone's on such high alert that I think she immediately
I think
went.
that's right. She's like, this whole area is about to
Yes.
like
and then
ignite.
I was then thinking like, oh my God, what if I had set another round of fires in
and you
Hollywood?
finally got Los Feliz.
People would have been like, that entitled bastard.
I know.
Why has he got to have these cars that catch on fire?
These old new cars that keep catching on
Yeah,
fire.
he can afford a new one, but he bought an old one.
He should be driving electric. That wouldn't caught on fire.
You went near the end of it.
Yeah, but you can drown in them. I should say that.
Well, when they catch on fire, you can't go breathe anywhere near them. As we're now finding out. That's the
true.
crazy part.
But also, you know, that horrible story, and I don't know all the details, so I don't, and it's very sad, but Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law.
Oh, drove into a pond?
Yes, in a Tesla, and like couldn't get out and died.
Oh.
And I think it might have to do with that Tesla. It probably shuts down
Right,
in
that
water.
door opens electrically,
electric,
yeah.
not mechanically. Or I think. I don't want to be sued.
I think there's a release on there as well.
If you had read the manual and practiced like a fire
It's like
extinguisher.
the fire extinguisher. No one's doing that.
It's in the
In the
door,
heat of
though.
the
It's right
moment.
there.
It's what?
It's right there in the door, though.
Oh, okay.
Well, apparently people like came and tried, and they were there and they couldn't.
Yeah, I'm vaguely aware of that.
Yeah, I probably
story.
talked about it before.
I think you did. It was
Yeah.
when you were wanting everyone to have a window
Yeah, now
smasher.
I have one of those smashers.
Oh, nice.
Aaron, I have an update for you.
Oh, please.
I think one of the last times you were here, we were talking about my running.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yes, and I want you to know, since then, a sign has been put on the yard, not by me, that says no. It says no dogs allowed / no trespassing. I forget
No
exactly what it
congregating,
says.
no.
It says something explicit, like
Really?
no more of this. So it was solved for me.
I thought you were going to bring up his chest hair. That's where I thought this was going.
No.
The last time you talked about having shaved his chest hair, and how
Right.
sexy he felt.
Okay, so what's the update on
Oh.
that?
Well, I just had my back shaved again.
Are you making cashmere?
I should, because it's
Oh
an
my God.
enormous amount of fur that comes off.
Aaron.
Really quick, Aaron. I've never let you feel this.
No, but I've
You'll be a
seen it,
very
yeah.
select group. Go ahead and touch
Be
that.
really
And give
careful.
an honest what you think about that.
Oh my God.
Is that not the
soft.
softest thing you've ever felt?
Can I sleep with it tonight?
There's a blanket made of that.
No. Oh,
So you
careful.
can make some. I know you got to be
Precious.
careful.
That is, it is cashmere, isn't it?
It sure is. There's no denying
Wow.
it. And you know now Delta's leg hairs are in here too.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So we're getting it from harvesting from my back and her legs.
The whole family.
Maybe it can be a joint, Aaron's hair, because then we can really get some movement on it.
At the risk of hurting Aaron's feelings,
Oh.
Aaron has had dense body hair his whole life. He's a man. He's always been a man. I'm not. I've always not been a man. I've always felt like a
Little boy.
preteen
Yeah.
or a woman next to him. And he's always had a gorgeous Burt Reynolds chest hair since we were 17.
Okay, so you think it's coarser?
I think it's coarser. Would you?
Yeah. Yeah, all I'm saying is the amount.
Yeah. Okay, well, you don't have to have cashmere. We can do mohair for you.
So Ruthie just shaved me again with the dog. It's got a vacuum. I may have said this before, but
I don't know.
it has a hose, and you watch it accumulate in a chamber. And this is so fun because that's why I realized, I'm like, oh my God, I have so much hair, like this much. Like, came off my back.
Whoa.
Ruthie's super grossed out by it.
Well, she can't touch the cashmere then.
Yeah.
I know we're both getting hair now everywhere. It's maddening. But have you noticed, have we already talked about our armpit hair? Have you noticed your armpit hair will be 2 feet long sometimes?
If we haven't talked about it, yeah, I've been chopping mine.
With scissors?
Yeah.
Same. I now give myself like a haircut
Yes.
in my armpits.
Me too.
And then I have this very weird, do you have this where it's like, I have it in my mind it's supposed to be some length, or else why would it be that long?
Sure.
Because when I'm tempted to just like cut it
the
as
whole
close to the
thing.
skin as possible, so I have to do it less. But then I think, aren't you shouldn't it be some length?
I wonder that too.
Can you just grow it out just so we can see how long it gets?
You're right. There should be video evidence of some of this.
You know why I had to finally confront it, other than like maybe my kids pointed it out and I was embarrassed, but also you can't even get your deodorant to the skin anymore because it just clumps up in your hair. And then you have dingleberries in your armpit. And you're like, what the fuck is going on? Why am I a mess like this?
Dreadlocks.
Well, 50, not Aaron.
Yeah, not yet.
Not even close.
6 months.
So let's talk about your party.
Okay, great. How about you guys talk about my party?
Oh.
It was a yacht rock theme.
It was a yacht rock theme. It was at my favorite roller skate rink, Moonlight Rollerway.
Yep.
To name drop, Kimmel made the playlists, as he's made me many playlists in the past that I love.
Yeah.
And Kristen enlisted him to do that. Tons of blasts from the past. A lot of my Groundlings friends. Just an incredible, perfect group of people. My dad came all the way out from across town. Tom Hansen.
Adam Perry Lang made
Adam
barbecue.
Perry Lane cooked.
It was incredible.
Yeah, did you get on both the meats?
I just had the pork.
The pork ribs.
Yeah.
Are you
so insane?
How good were those?
They were so good. And the cornbread was so good.
Oh, it was damp as a motherfucker. It was like a what do you call it? Cake.
Pound cake.
Pound cake.
Yeah, it was delicious.
I was really excited about the Adam Perry Lane of it all because most of my friends that were there didn't know about him. And I don't know what their expectations were at a roller skating rink, how good the barbecue is going to be. But he is one of the best barbecue. He does these pop-ups around LA, and there's fucking lines around the block. Yeah, and he's just there cutting ribs.
At a
and
roller skating rink.
Yeah.
It was really sweet of him to do that. He's a very nice man.
He is incredibly
I've also enlisted him to teach Kristen how to make crepes for Christmas one year, her birthday, I forget. And like got her all the machinery and stuff, and now she knows how to make crepes.
She's stuck with it. She goes through little phases. There's no crepes for months and months and months, and then there's crepes 10 days in a row. She cooks them compulsively.
Well, I guess we got to talk about
tomorrow.
Well, exactly. So
You should bring that up. She would love to.
I thought I had a craving for crepes like
Crepe
3 days ago. And it was 9 p.m. So I didn't think it was possible for me to get it, but I wanted it so bad. And then the next day I told her I was craving them. She said, I'll make them for you. And then guess what the word was on Wordle today?
Crepes.
Plural or singular?
Singular.
Singular.
Isn't that weird?
That's suspicious. So normally, this is Delta's birthday party is here every December, and we always get the rink for 2 hours. And it's always my commitment to skate as long as possible because it's such a unique opportunity. But the window of this party was 5 p.m. till 10 p.m. And I was like, I got to back up. One other thing that happened, because I didn't know I was having a party, is that day before, I rode the furthest I've ever ridden on my new road bike.
Oh.
I told you, I passed your house a couple different times. Armchair sent me. I was even paparazzi'd. I didn't know it.
Oh.
Yeah, I went everywhere. I was down the LA River, down past Spoke, then out in Glendale, then back into Silver Lake. Wow. So that whole day when I came out and he saw him in the pool, I was like, I went too hard. I can barely walk.
Oh.
Then she said 5 to 10 were skating.
Then we got
I was like,
5 hours of skating.
And we're going to skate. We're going to skate hard. And one thing I got to add is people really went for it with the yacht rock theme. Aaron had an incredible outfit.
He really did.
Turnkey bought off of Amazon.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
Yeah,
Captain's
it was white.
outfit. It was white.
All white.
On white.
Hat. Pipe. The pipe really pushed
was
it over.
Great.
I don't even know why it makes sense.
It
but
doesn't, does it?
I don't know. I can't I'm racking my brain of where there's some famous image of a captain with a pipe.
I Love Boat or whatever.
But again, I don't even think on Love Boat that was happening.
What's the other one where they're all shipwrecked?
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, Gilligan's
The
Island.
skipper didn't smoke a pipe.
Did Gorton's fishermen have a pipe or something?
Oh, yeah. But again, that's a yellow rain
This is like
slicker.
Mandela effect. We all just think we know these captains have pipes, but none of them do.
I don't think any of them do. And how long had it been since you skated, Aaron?
Probably 7 years.
7 years.
I was a lot heavier, and
you were at 320 at that point.
Yeah, and I remember really because I was like, I'm gonna do this, and and I was real wobbly, and then after a few laps, I was expecting everyone to be watching me because I thought I was that good. So fucking stupid. I'm like, oh, really? I'm just a fat guy roller skating, and I'm old.
But you're waiting for them to notice how fucking cool you look.
Yeah. Like,
shit, I didn't know your old man ripped.
Everyone's going to high five my fucking kids.
Hoist you up on their shoulders.
They probably got beat up the next day.
Well, despite that, you did quite well. And Monica, let me thank you in public. You have sat out the last 2 skatings.
I have. But then it was your birthday, and so I thought, I got to do it for your birthday.
It was so sweet of you.
And did it? You did.
I did it. I did
You did quite a bit of skating.
I did like 12 laps or something, maybe more.
I think more.
I'd say, yeah.
I want to say you were out. You had 3 different sessions, didn't you?
I had multiple sessions. Even after eating, I put them back on.
And I learned earlier today, that you actually had gone out by yourself to do a little trial run like the garage in Tennessee.
I did, where I learned to ride my bike.
Yes.
Yeah, I got a little nervous not having been on them for a couple years, and I was first to arrive at the party. And so I just went out on my own and did a little practice.
Yeah.
Found my sea legs. I'm not good on them. Ryan tried to help me. He was like, you go more side to side. I go more front to back, I guess.
Yeah.
It's sort of my proprietary move. So I'm just not very good at it, but it's fine. It's hard for me to not be good at it. But yes, you kill it.
I ate shit though. Let me say that.
Once.
So, And then, by the way, on the way there, I said to Aaron, okay, if you haven't gone in a long time, a prediction for you is you think you're going to be bad, and then you're going to get out there and go, oh my God, I'm actually quite good. And then you're going to get overconfident about 15 minutes. And then that's when the big wreck comes. And I had been skating for a good hour and a half, 2 hours at this point. I was very loose. I was feeling very confident. And I decided, you know what, as I skate by Joy, because she was high-fiving people on the sidelines, I'm like, you know, it's going to be radical, so I'm going to blow by shooting the duck.
Oh, is that what you were trying to do?
Oh, did you think I just fell out of nowhere?
No, I knew you were doing something with Joy, but I didn't know that was.
So for people who don't know, shooting the duck, you get on one skate and you bend down. I can't even bend down on one leg if I wasn't wearing skates, especially with the biking from the day before and the 2 hours of skating. And I got halfway into this commitment and realized I'm going down. And I went down pretty hard on my hip.
Yeah, it scared me.
Luckily, you were on the rink at that moment.
I was.
And you were right behind me, so you saw the whole thing.
I did.
Made a loud enough noise that I think everyone looked.
I missed it.
I don't think
You
so,
missed it?
actually.
I was skating, but I missed it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm not sure if I wish you had. Or
I wish I had, but
yeah, of course.
You skated up to me and you go, the fucking duck bit back.
The duck shot me.
I was like, what? And I didn't even know that happened.
You got up really fast, and you didn't look hurt.
That's the goal.
Yeah, but I knew you were.
And then you hadn't seen. I knew you were. You hadn't seen Fall Guy,
right?
And so, have you seen Fall Guy?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, what a movie, right?
So good.
Every time the stunt's over, they give the thumbs up, like I'm good. They're not good. Their back's broken. They're like, right. So then I was like, I gave the thumbs up, and for the people who had seen it, but you hadn't seen it. And then I felt compelled to try to explain to you my jokes. I was
came back around.
Yes, I was in a good deal of pain, and I had given you the thumbs up, and I needed you to know that was enough. I was making a joke.
Are you okay? And then you gave the thumbs up, and I was like, oh. And then you had to come back and tell me what, in fact, wasn't okay.
I was not okay, but I kept going. I was like, is my hip fractured? Maybe it's fractured. Let's just keep going. There's nothing they can do for that. So you can put a caster on your hip.
This is why it's really, roller skating is so tricky, because you have to commit if you're going to have fun and if you're going to be good. But then you will fall. So you're choosing.
Especially if you try to show off like me.
Well, once you're feeling it, like everyone's going to try. And that's what I don't do. I just do half because I don't want to fall.
Yeah.
And I don't fall, so that's great.
Yeah.
But then
there
it's
were very
half.
few falls last night.
Right.
In fact, kind of a shocking few falls.
Yeah.
Because at Delta's party, the first few years, people were going down really bad. People had wrist injuries.
Yeah.
It was like 20% of the dads were fucked up the next week.
Anna fell last time.
Yeah, she went down pretty hard.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And everyone also, you see it, and then you just you kind of look away.
Yeah.
Let people recover on their own.
Well, no, so that's a great, as you know, I like getting embarrassed. And when I fell down at the movies, I was laughing hysterically. But the pain was so sharp. Like, I wanted to laugh because it's just embarrassing. I tried to shoot the duck. Joy watched the whole thing. Her friend's watching. She doesn't know me, so there's a new person. At least Joy is my sister.
Yeah.
I've known her for 12 years. It was painful enough that I couldn't actually get to the laughing part. I just got
You were smiling pretty big, though.
Well, I was performing. Yeah. I came out of retirement from acting and put on a real good thing. Then gave a thumbs up, and only 2 people got it because I thought everyone saw Fall Guy and they hadn't.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
We are supported by Allstate. Allstate partnered with Armchair Expert to be the presenting sponsor of this episode, so thank you, Allstate. Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first.
Like, to check if you have a full tank of gas before you go out on a road trip. You just know that.
Yes, or to check yourself in the mirror to make sure there's nothing in your teeth first before you start recording a video ad.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Do I have anything in my teeth?
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
Like, you have to check your breath before you have a first kiss.
Sure, cup and blow and sniff.
Also, you have to check to make sure your clothes aren't on inside out before you put them on. Oh. I do.
Or upside down. Check to see if there's some paste on your brush before you start brushing your teeth. These are simple things. Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. You're in good hands with Allstate. This content is intended for audiences in the U.S. only. Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
And then Kristen somehow, I haven't even asked her the logistics, but our favorite treat in the world from Michigan is Saunders Bumpy Cake. For people who've never had Saunders Bumpy Cake, it is a chocolate damp devil's food cake base, and then these huge ribbons of Twinkie filling, all covered in a fudge icing. Did you try it?
Yeah, I did. I hadn't had it before. I loved it.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I loved it.
That's not your thing?
Oh, fuck yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Now
okay,
it is.
yeah, okay. Right,
It was really good.
When we were kids, you didn't love chocolate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I do know. I had some for breakfast this morning.
You did. And I fucking went nuts. I had my immune suppressant before the party because I knew we were going to have bumpy cake, and I ate way too much. So I coupled the hip pain with I made myself sick, but then I was like, you must get out and push through all of this. Did another couple hours of skating. It was a great, great party.
It was a lovely party.
And as I told you, what was really kind of novel about this party, because I've had them in the past, I get feeling really guilty, like Tom Hansen. He drove 50 miles across town through rush hour traffic to get to the party, and he's older. And then I'm out skating the whole time. And the whole time I'm like, I got to go sit and talk to Tom. He drove all the way here. And then virtually everyone that's showing up, I feel like I should be talking to them for a half hour. And then I had this light bulb moment where I was like, everyone here is a blast to talk to. When I look around, everyone's quite happy talking to whoever. I'm not needed here. I can stop feeling guilty about that.
Did you have the moment where you were like, oh, all these people I've collected?
Yeah, I tried to have that moment. I did. I was in the bathroom, and I actually even did my mantra for 2 minutes. I was like, I really want to, have that moment and see that. And then Tom Hansen, who knows me so well, he hugged me and he said, are you able to let any of this love in? And I said, I'm trying real hard. But also, I'm pretty sure everyone's here just because Kristen invited them. If I'm being honest.
So silly.
I know.
That's so unfair. That's so unfair to all of us.
To you, yeah. I mean,
to anyone who went.
I don't know. It's still my residual low self-esteem or something. I don't know.
It was the funnest party I've ever been to.
And there's no fucking booze there. That's saying something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still riding on it today.
I got to push back a little bit. I guess you're not counting your birthday parties because Aaron's birthday is July 2nd, which becomes a 4th of July Aaron's birthday spectacular. It was often at his dad's farm. And it would be like a 3-day party with 50 people camping. Those were
fun.
Fucking awesome. Those were damn good.
Those were good. Yeah.
But I'm happy you had a great time.
I fucking had fun, man. I had so much fun.
It was really fun.
So much fun. And I don't want you to get the wrong impression. I felt very loved.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were blowing out your candle, I looked around and I was like, oh, this is so lovely.
Well, what I thought of many times is you'd be hard pressed to find a better group of 40 human beings.
So it was a really good group. I felt lucky that I had been collected.
Oh,
over the 50 years. I was happy to be there.
Did you have a favorite conversation with anyone?
I had so many. I had one I can't repeat.
Oh, okay.
That was the most memorable. It was with Eric. Yeah, it was naughty.
Oh, okay.
It was so
He's so open,
He's
though.
So
You
provocative.
think
I can't because it's not about him.
Okay. I can't wait to hear that.
Jesus. He never fails.
Yeah.
I think I know I think there's not one thing he can say that will get me. And man,
He got you.
man, does he. I got to talk to Joy. I ate with her, and that was so nice. I hadn't talked to her
That's
in a
what
long
I was excited
time.
about that. I was more
love
looking
her.
around, seeing people I love talking to each other and watching you guys chat. I was like, oh yeah, my sisters are chatting. Yeah. And she was wearing all day glow yellow, full.
Oh yeah, like
She looked
neon.
amazing.
Yeah, neon fishnets.
So awesome.
We came up with my superhero name because we were, of course, talking about spades.
Uh-huh.
And her friend she was with was black as well. And she's like, this is the upside down world. They play spades. We don't play spades. And then her and I came up with that. My superhero name is the Appropriator. And my catchphrase is, I'll take it. I see something from your culture I like. I'll take it. The appropriator.
Oh, that's funny. Really fun to talk to Nate. Hadn't seen Nate in such a long time.
Yeah, again, if Nate tucks at a party, what am I worried about anyone finding someone to talk to? How about you? Did you chat with anyone new that you were like, oh, that's
I loved catching up with all the, like the old groundlings, your crew from back then. Like I hadn't seen Ben, Kim Lovestead, Nat.
Yes.
So that was all very fun and super comfortable. Like we all just dove into conversations that were fucking great.
Yeah, Ben sent me a text like, I talked a lot with Aaron Weekly. It was so fun.
Yeah, it was great.
And that Faxon, of course, probably stole the show. He was the same white outfit Aaron had, but his was short shorts.
Oh my God, yeah. And he was very sexy on those rollerblades.
He's so athletic.
He was so good on those.
Yeah.
Like I said, best party I've ever been to.
Oh man.
It's kind of your birthday too. You guys get to share birthdays.
Yeah, felt like it.
Yeah.
Kristen did a damn good job there.
She really did it.
She was very worried. She said, he's really been talking a lot and that he's very grateful he didn't have a party. And what a load
I think
off.
she had heard me say like 4 times between my birthday and yesterday, I'm so glad I would hate a surprise party. And the poor girl had planned a surprise party.
Yeah.
He went to
But
bed
what do you
last night
think
saying, what a
now?
load
Now
off.
that it's
Oh,
happened.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show I'm known better than I know myself in a lot of domains. Like, I was delighted. As long as I didn't have to go through any of the anxiety of it all, it was absolutely delightful.
Would you have been upset if it was a real surprise? I guess there's no way to know.
I don't think so, but I don't know how you get me to the roller rink.
Exactly.
I think she would have had to tell. I'm just so annoyingly curious about why would we be doing
Panay wasn't going to take you to the roller rink.
The only thing that had been planned and I had been tricked on is that Panay and Nate and I were supposed to have dinner that night. That was the big plan.
Oh.
And even like on Monday, I asked Kristen, can I go to dinner with Nate and Panay? And she's like, yeah. I'm thinking she must have been laughing her buns off. The plan was coming together perfectly. And then so I was both really excited about the party. And then I was like, oh man, I was really looking forward to going to dinner with Panay and Nate. So we just decided we will also go to dinner next week.
Were you guys going to Morton's?
I hope. Hope we bring George Kittle with us. Aaron and I decided the best compliment you could give any guy is to say like, oh, I'd love to go to Morton's with that dude. Like if you don't know him, but you see him from afar and you go, fuck, I'd love to go to Morton's with that guy.
I mean, he is a great guy.
I like Dan Campbell. Can you imagine going to fucking Morton's?
You go directly to Morton's.
Don't stop.
You guys wouldn't even have to say it.
We get there and the food would be on the table.
Oh, goodness.
What's the equivalent? Is there equivalent of that for the gals?
Oh, like the spa?
No. Because there's no
that's
chatting.
a solo.
Really.
Yeah. Also, the mall, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Shopping.
Yeah.
Go right to the mall with her.
I think I'd go shopping with her.
Like, what do you want to
Shopping
do with
buddy.
Ashley and Mary Kate the first time you hang out? Besides tour.
So my pants just fell off. Exploded. My underwear fell off. I don't know if I can go shopping with them. That's confusing.
I imagine it. I would be self-conscious if I were you, because I'd be afraid everything I said I liked, you'd worry they didn't think it was good style.
I guess we would go to their store.
Okay.
And I'd say, what do you guys think I should get? I'll pay. And they'll be like, I know you'll pay. We don't give discounts.
we don't fuck around like that.
And then they'd pick out some stuff for me, and then we'd all go have martinis. They would smoke cigarettes. I wouldn't.
Oh, man. You wouldn't
maybe
smoke
you would,
with them?
No, I've never done it, and even for them, I won't.
Wow.
I'll roller skate for you, but I won't smoke a cigarette for you. So we go to bed early.
Super early.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it was lovely, and I hope you feel happy today.
Oh, I do. I took my immune suppressant, and I think I have a cold that came back, and I think I have a fractured hip, but also just beaming with gratitude.
Yeah.
I felt hungover this morning. In fact, so many times, I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember I got like a really cool sweatsuit for Christmas and a watch, and I was at your house, We were in the backyard, and I somehow fell and fucking split my lip like wide open.
When you were little?
No, when I was like home for Christmas, and our Christmas started at a certain time, and then we had stayed up till 9 in the morning the day before, and then so I didn't wake up till 5. So I got to Christmas Eve, our big family tradition, quite late, and I just had this enormous bloody scab on my mouth from the night before, and we had a lot of those. So anyways, when I woke up, I was like, I have a headache from eating all the cake. I'm sick and my hip hurts. I feel like I was at Aaron's house somewhere. 99 or something.
Okay, should we do a little just quick facts?
Some fackies?
Yeah, this is for Reid Hoffman.
Okay.
You said that Martin Luther raised literacy rates from 3% to 95%, according to AI.
Okay.
While there isn't a precise percentage readily available to quantify how much Martin Luther raised literacy rates, historical research indicates that the Protestant Reformation, largely driven by Luther's teaching, significantly increased literacy levels across Europe, with some studies showing a difference of nearly 20 percentage points between predominantly Protestant and Catholic regions. Essentially, areas with a larger Protestant population had substantially higher literacy rates, but there's no percentage.
I'm clearly way off given that percentage.
But you got it from weirdest people on
Earth.
Joseph Henrich.
Friend of the Joey
pod.
Hendrick.
Go back and listen to that one. Is our unemployment rate as low as it's ever been? The unemployment rate was 3.4% in January and April 2023, the lowest in 55 years.
55 years.
The last time the unemployment rate in the U.S. was this low was in the first 5 months of 1969. The average unemployment rate during the Biden administration was 4.1%, really low.
Yeah, very low. A lot of countries have 10% and above.
Yeah. 1984 did come out in 1949. But we think he wrote it in 1948. Yeah.
Yes. But he had said, Reid, our guest, no, it was 48, which was clever because 1984 was a flip of 48.
Yes. And we still think that's true.
Yeah.
But it did not come out until 49. The price of Bitcoin today is $104,627.70.
Wow. Aaron, did you watch that Greatest Heist doc on Netflix?
Not yet.
Okay. Well, in a nutshell, these two incredibly weird people. I don't feel bad saying that.
Their names are Ilya Dutch Lichtenstein and Heather Razzle-Khan Morgan.
Yeah. So a bit of a clue in their names. And they stole. I always say stole. That's one of my things. They stole 70. Yeah, there they are.
Oh, man.
Boy, that photo of him on the left. He might have Stockholm.
This makes me feel sad, actually.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, you are not happy for either of them. But they stole $72 million in Bitcoin that they really couldn't unload. So they just held it. By the time they were arrested, it was worth $4.5 billion. So it's the greatest theft in the history of the world.
Oh my God, no, I have not
now
seen
worth
this.
$10.8 billion.
Now worth $10.8 billion if you had $72 million.
It was stolen from Bitfinex or Bitfinex. I don't know. And it's a Hong Kong-based virtual cryptocurrency exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So that's yikes.
We've had friends that were involved in some thefts of that, right?
Yes, we did.
Oh,
well,
yeah,
that was of...
we have a friend that's a victim of.
A victim, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yikes.
A lot of money.
Which I can only imagine what it's worth now, because that was, 5 years ago?
Yeah. Oh, I have a thing marked here. So you made a car. You designed a car using AI, and you decided you wanted to show it.
I would love to. Well, you want to put it on the TV because you're so good at that now?
Yep. You can email me it.
Oh, and I'm going to send you one picture after that of a Ted Seegers poster that there's three actually that I really like. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to send 4 things.
Oh my God.
Because then I did something for our show.
Exciting. All on AI?
All on AI.
I played around with some merch stuff on AI. That was fun. Ooh, okay. So
right. So
for the listener.
Yeah. So I want a 15-passenger van for Nashville because I assume we're always going to have so many people staying with us that anytime we go to dinner, we're going to need like tons of seats. So then I was like, well, I want a 15-passenger G van, a
is
Chevy,
amazing.
but I want it to be John Player paint scheme. I want it wide body. I just said like not a ton of things, and it spit this one out. It spit 3 amazing ones
Did you say
out.
black
Look
and
at
gold?
that. Yeah, that's the John Player livery famous paint scheme. Isn't it interesting how they fuck certain things up? Like, look at the grill. It's kind of going to say Chevrolet, but it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
It's weird. And then, like, there's normal letters on the tires and then weird abstract. And that's the third one. Look at that motherfucker. Can you imagine if I can
send that to someone?
Or here's the weird thing I did.
immediately?
Look, and I'm only noticing now that it's blown up that big. It's got 2 gas.
It does.
Yeah.
2 fuel doors.
Yeah,
there.
2 fuel dours. That's weird. right? You see that, Monty?
Yeah.
You need a lot of gas for that.
Well, it
sucker.
probably knows I'm going to be have my foot in the kitchen the whole time. Okay, now go, Rob, to the other.
What is John Player?
Was a cigarette brand that sponsored Formula One and racing, and they have this signature black and gold. So then, so I said, make a poster for a beer brand named Ted Seeger's in the style of Miami Vice.
Yeah, I love
cool.
this one.
Isn't that great?
That's really cool.
And again, what does it say? It doesn't say Miami beer, but it says like
Niamio beer.
Yeah. Almost makes you think it's like a Thai beer
And like
or something.
underneath it's just squiggles, kind of like
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Get that Egyptian. Okay, now then I said, give me a beer brand, Ted Seeger's. I want a muscle car, a motorcycle, and a muscular horse.
Oh, wow. This one is a little.
The fucking horse.
That thing is ripped.
Oh, this is so funny.
All right. And then I was like, what if a beer brand named Ted Seeger's sponsored a hydroplane race boat? And it made that, which is incredible.
Yeah, but what's on the side? Did you?
I think
it's barley
Is it
or
beer
hops.
Oh.
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
Okay. And
All right. And then look at this beautiful.
That's pretty.
Get the hell out of
really
here.
pretty. What'd you say? A crow with a cherry?
Yeah, a crow with a cherry in its beak.
Okay, but
I had to do many to come up with this one. This
Yeah.
one took a while.
Did you see this?
What's this?
That's your.
your-
that was
yeah.
your invite for the
Yeah.
party.
Oh, I didn't see that. It says your rock, right?
Yeah.
That's not an H, it's an R. It's YRACH.
yeah, you're right.
And captain's questionable. He's got sneakers on. Yeah, he's a jacked crow. I hadn't seen that. That's great. Look at that vascularity.
Oh my god, that crow is a fucking
How scared
animal.
is that other crow that's flying in the background? He's probably flying to get the fuck out of there.
I didn't realize she used AI for it.
Oh,
She must have. Well, that's that.
That was it. Those were all the facts.
Those are the
That was a fun
facts.
AI detour.
Yeah.
Unless you're listening. I guess that'll all get cut out if you're. I was just thinking if you were listening and you couldn't see any of this.
Go to YouTube and watch it.
yeah.
All right. Love you.
I love you. Love you.
Love you.